big week for the Brian Laundrie investigation. The examination of his remains will provide vital information as to how and when he died. The family says his autopsy came back inconclusive over the weekend. Joining us right now to talk about this is Dr. Kathy Reichs, a forensic anthropologist and author of multiple New York Times bestselling books, including her latest, The Bone Code, out right now. And we know, Kathy, that this is something that has fascinated so many who've determined that they have a vested interest in protecting this case surrounding Gabby Petito. But what will investigators look for specifically in regards to these remains? We know that an anthropologist had to look into this because the remains were so deteriorated.
Yeah, and I understand that I didn't work on this case, so I'm only speaking in hypotheticals, but I understand that the identification was a dental identification, so they know that these are the remains of Brian Laundrie. What they're going to be looking at now, I would think, are two things. One would be what we call postmortem interval. How long has it been since he died? You cannot pinpoint that to the hour or perhaps even the day. But using information about the environment in which the body was lying, you can also bring in other experts, such as entomologists and botanists. Entomologists are going to look at the stage of necrophagous insect development on the body, and I would assume in Florida there's going to be quite a bit of that. The botanists are going to be looking at things such as the development of vegetation growth over Laundrie's remains or over his belongings as well. Those are the kinds of factors that the anthropologist will use along with decomposition to determine a range of how long ago did he die. And they're going to want to know that so that to know if it jives or doesn't jive with witness accounts or the parents' statements or whatever. Where was Brian Laundrie during that time period after Petito died? The other thing they're going to want to look at is manner of death. And the anthropologist should be able to say something, not necessarily, but should be able to say something about this. What he or she will look at is any kind of trauma on the skeleton. You're going to get trauma in cases of blunt instrument damage, in cases of sharp instrument damage, such as a stabbing or a slashing, in, of course, a gunshot wounding would also show up on the skeleton. But not everything shows up in bone. Things such as poisoning wouldn't show up in bone. Things like smothering, that's not a question here, but that wouldn't show up on bone. So it will not necessarily, if your gut stabbed, in the belly and it doesn't touch any bone, that's not going to show up.
And really, that's what we have left of him. I mean, it's morbid to think about this, but the heightened interest in this case, even following his death, is just so bizarre on one hand, and then also we have a lot of people who are trying to figure out if we'll ever know what happened to Brian Laundrie or Gabby Petito. Do you know how long it would take an anthropologist to actually uncover some of these clues from examining the bones?
Well, it's going to take the anthropologist, I would think, several days, because if I were doing it, I would want to go over it and just look at it grossly, just look at every single bone, perhaps under a magnifying light. And then I'd want to look at it microscopically. I'd want to see that blown up big and look at every single millimeter of the bone surface to be sure you're not missing some minor thing. One of the things that's going to be a complicating factor, I would think, is scavenging. That's a Florida swamp. There's probably a lot of wildlife in there. And you're immediately after death, you're going to have invasion by insects, and you're going to probably have scavenging by any animals that are around. And basically any animal will scavenge. Deer, dogs, bear, chickens, anything's going to scavenge. So what the anthropologist is going to have to do is sort out what we call antemortem or damage in the bones from postmortem damage in the bones. Actually, perimortem, what happened at the time of death and what might have happened after death.
All right.
So they're going to be very, very careful in not confusing those two.
Yeah, this story just continues to have so many twists and turns, and but again, unanswered questions until we get this anthropology report. Dr. Kathy Reichs, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Brian Laundrie may be dead, but his story is still a mystery. Tonight, his lawyer joins me live for tough questions about this blockbuster case. Steve Bertolino, one-on-one. What did the Laundries know and when did they know it? And why were there so many inconsistencies between the family and the police? And later,
good morning,
real death,
everybody.
real pain, and very
Welcome
real
back to Merc
questions
Radio.
in the land of make-believe.
Some big
a
news
walkout by
today.
crew member.
And let's see here. I've got the Discord lounge open if anybody wants to hop in. Hello, everybody. We got Justin and Erica in the house. Good morning, as always, guys.
Big week for the Brian Laundrie investigation. The examination of his remains
Let's see
will
here.
provide.
And I played over the samples at the top of the hour. This news coverage about a forensic anthropologist being called in. So, oh yeah, and as you guys see now, we have a call-in line. So if you'd like to call into the show, I have it pulled up here. You can call in. Oh, goodness. So, Erica, what's going on with this water bottle theory I'm hearing about?
So, I heard from the protesters that were just hanging out and like going around investigating and stuff.
Yes.
They found the water bottle.
Oh.
They found a lighter. They found some socks. And they called the police, the Northport police, and they were like, look, we're where his body was found, and we have these items. And then the police were like, well, where is that? Like, how do we get there? And Jonathan Lee Richards was like, are you serious? So long story short, they came out, they looked at a pile of bones, the water bottle. I guess the sergeant stepped away, made a phone call, came back. He said, no, we're good, we're not going to take it, and he left. And then he ended up calling back like 24 hours later and asking for them to bring the bottle down to the police station.
Shit. Okay. So it
And
sounds...
that's who, like, he documented that. Like, there's a live video of him speaking to the police, so it's not like hearsay.
Ooh, that's juicy. See, I haven't heard anything about that. That's awesome. I figured there must be something when I saw more than one person in the Discord, like, bitch water bottle. And I was like, ooh, someone tell me. There must be something that happened on the ground. Okay, so no, hey, that's interesting as hell. I bet you there's something to that.
Yeah, Arianthi said that she had those bottles too. Particular, like, water bottles, and there's a picture of it in Gabby's van, like, in a cup holder. So, I mean, it's the same color, it's the same design. Odds are it's definitely one of theirs, because it's right where they found him. I mean, you can't tell me someone left that there, and there's no way that it's theirs.
Yeah. You know, it kind of makes sense to me that, like, I think he left a bunch of shit there by that car, and the rain botched his own suicide scene. Like, I think he actually meant to set things up with a note and leave things like fairly obvious. Like, if you look at it, like, he killed himself close to that car, so he probably left shit near that car, but then the rain fucked his own plan up.
I mean, and there's a rope too, like a rope that's tied like a noose.
Oh,
it's very low to the ground, like maybe a foot off the ground.
Whoa.
So JLR was like, oh, well, maybe he was hanging himself and the animals pulled him down or whatnot. And the police said, no, we knew about that rope. It used to be a swing. They didn't take that either.
Huh.
What the hell?
Okay, then how did he die, I wonder? Sunbeam says another picture of Gabby with that water bottle in a backpack. So this is like a proprietary, like, reusable water bottle thing?
Yeah.
Oh. Sounds
you
like
just
it
fill your water and you go on a hike and you take it with you.
I bet you it was his.
But
It sounds like it's not a
JLR
generic Yeti either.
Right. No, I mean, Arianthi knows a lot about those water bottles, so maybe when she comes on, she can get into it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
She owned a couple.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited about that then. No, that sounds like there must be something to it, or I bet you some Brian DNA is on that fucking bottle for sure.
And they didn't take the socks, they didn't take the lighter, and they did not take the bones.
Yeah.
So JLR actually is paying to have them sent to an anthropologist himself.
Yeah. Damn. Now,
That's what I'm interested in.
let's see. Widget says it's an REI water bottle. Pictures on Discord to Sunbeam. Okay. Nalgene. Okay. Jameson says, here's my thing. How come what the parents find is so suspicious, but not what the protesters find? They are both the public finding something in what was a missing persons case. So yeah, I mean, what the public should find should be just as interesting as what the parents find. I guess I understand from like a profiling perspective why one would be more important than the other, but I agree with Erica that that bottle is definitely, I don't know, you have to take things from the public if you open the bitch up to the public like that.
I mean, go look on Discord and look at the picture and decide for yourself. It's worn. It's definitely in their photos of them traveling. It's definitely one of theirs. But I don't find it odd that they found it. I find it odd that the police didn't want any of that stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you and Jameson. Like that they should want that. Which one is it under? Are we got it under Town Hall here?
I'm not sure. Widget might know.
Yeah. You guys let me know what text channel you dropped that in.
It might be like pics and stuff. I don't know. Let me go check.
Oh shit! Something back home's burning. It looks like. Sorry, I'm just now
It's
catching
in
up with the.
Conspiracy Corner.
Ah. Hell yeah. Well, I think this could probably be a little more solid than conspiracy, especially if we got pictures of her with it in her backpack. Pictures of it in the van.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, yes, you can get them in stores in a lot of places. Yeah, analogy. Okay, yeah. I've seen Arianthe with those in person. Yeah, that's the same fucking designs, baby.
I'm telling you.
Look at that. Yeah, that was his bottle. That's why he talks about not wanting them plastic bottles, because he has that Nalgene. Nalgene? Whatever. Oh, you murkies. Yeah. Look at that. Sorry, I'm looking at it in the van right now, where it's in that like little thing that they had strapped to the pegboard.
Yeah.
Like, that's clearly the same fucking bottle. Like, even the strap that holds the fucking lid is the same. And it's not like it's like a common design. Like it's
according to JLR, Gabby's parents' lawyer called the Northport police and said that sure does look like Gabby's bottle. And then they called and asked for it back from JLR.
Oh, it wasn't until one of the parents confirmed. Okay, then I'm starting to feel with you and Jameson, Erica, like, what the fuck, cops? Dude, what is up with their incompetence on this thing? Why would the like, look, it's okay. It's okay to assume the things you get from the public are compromised, right? But it's your job to figure out if it is or not. You can't just run at the assumption when there might be perfectly valid evidence to help figure out how this missing person might have died.
Yeah.
Or, well, this now dead person, but I
think they're just done with it. They're like, hey, it's done. We're going to move on.
Yeah. They're like, there's no more. We kind of know what he did. I'm interested to see the contents of the notebook, because again, I can't shake the feeling that maybe he purposefully set a suicide scene and the weather fucked him up, because again, he's bad at outdoors. He's just a bad he's just bad at being a human, it seems like, you know.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Like, I think the parents knew he was there. He said where he was going to be at. Like, he set up a scene. The weather didn't work with him, because I think they had a tropical rainstorm like the next day.
Yeah.
Is that right? But I don't know. Do you think he's alive, or you still think he's definitely dead?
I definitely think Brian's dead. I think that's his skull. I think they've matched it with dental records, and I think they're gonna have to use a forensic anthropologist to figure out how he died, because there's literally nothing else to go on. I think they have a skull, no neck, no hyoid bone, no anything, no way to run toxicology. They have functionally nothing to go off of but a skull that's been picked clean by water and weather and who knows what else.
Jameson thinks that the protesters planted this stuff to keep the money train going.
Thinks the protesters planted the, what was that? I think it's fairly clear that these individuals would plant evidence in order to keep that money train going. Oh yeah, no, for sure, Jameson, like for sure. Well, and that's why the police would be sketch about taking their fucking evidence in the first place without corroborating testimony, like from parents or somebody that has physically seen it, as opposed to people who've seen photos. But in this case, like it should take any basic fucking pencil pusher at any federal agency to like follow this lead and be like, yeah, I want that bottle. Please put it in a plastic bag and send it this way.
Yeah. I mean, they went out there and didn't take it off the ground. Like, they didn't touch it or anything.
Yeah. I mean, oh, sorry.
No. I was just going to say till after the police left. And then they were like, well, we're just going to take it.
Yeah. See, I would box that shit. Even if it was going into like a cold case thing or like a solved case thing, I'm putting that bottle there anyway. You know what I mean? Just stashing evidence just in case something comes of it later.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. But I've been called monkish and fucking closer to a Hearn than I was Pope, literally. So I can be kind of hermity. My ideas are kind of like, well, stash it just in case.
Yeah.
I realize sometimes I deviate from probably how authorities think with that kind of shit, right? I mean, he is a dead person. I don't know how much more they need, but I would take that bottle just in case there's something, baby. What if there was, I don't know, something poisonous inside of the bottle that he drank? And then now we know.
Ooh, good point.
Now we know.
Or maybe they could tell like how long the water was sitting there. I don't know. It could be anything.
Exactly. That's another one too. Yeah, exactly. How long? Because if it was fresh water that he put in there and it's now no longer good to drink, or it's, yeah, maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know much about how well an Nalgene keeps your water fresh, but I'm sure they could figure it out.
Interesting. Or even like evaporation. Who knows? There's probably all kinds of things.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm interested to know what Jameson thinks, like if the parents took a secret plea deal and led them there or something.
Yeah, Jameson, what do you think about the whole vibe? And Jameson, what would you, here's my hardest thing. My intuition tells me nothing about cause of death. I don't know how he killed himself. Or if he did kill himself, or if it was death by misadventure, because some people have guessed that.
Yeah. I have no inclination whatsoever. I have no idea. I'm wondering if he was hanging out there and the parents were going to come check on him, and since the media were stalking them, they couldn't get to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear what Jameson thinks.
I definitely think he killed himself at this point. It wasn't death by misadventure, but only because I'm kind of married to the idea. I have a bias toward the idea that maybe he set up a fucking suicide. Like, when they came to pick up the car, they would have found this, which would have led them here.
That's true.
And maybe...
So what if they knew he was dead there the whole time? And they were just like, oh, we'll let him take the fall because, like, maybe mom made some really shitty decisions to help him.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm not going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Or maybe they found evidence that made them think that, like, they weren't supposed to find his... Like, okay, so maybe he got out of the car, ditched the bag with the note in it, and then went even further to kill himself so that if they were to look for him, the parents wouldn't unknowingly stumble upon his body. Maybe he did this kind of spaced out in a weird way to kind of like save his parents finding his body.
I mean, I would.
Right? Wouldn't you? Like, I would. I would be as kind as I could to the people that cared about me and remained. Make those...
Yeah, that's why everyone's like, well, why didn't he do it at home or in the car? Because he knows his parents are going to find him, and, like, who wants to do that to their parents?
Yeah. I've known more than one terminally ill person that, unfortunately, took their own life, but the way they did it at home, but they went out in their yard. And they did it in a way that nobody would necessarily, like, they left things behind where investigators could find the body and the cleanup would be easy. They didn't make a mess in their house. They didn't make it to where their loved ones had to find them. That's why I think that is I've had loved ones who have had obviously put thought into it when it comes to being found. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
oh, it's all right. I've lost a lot of people. It part of living, man. I try to live for them as much as I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No special guest lost a very dear friend to a suicide, and it was a lot. And seeing his entire friend group live in the wake of what was a giant character, you know, is you have to build parts of your life where you're living for that person. They're not here to experience shit, so you got to enjoy it, you know.
Yeah.
Goth Angel Tarot says, people keep saying it's not Brian, and I don't understand what's even going on. How can they mess up dental records, or what even happened? Someone tell me, laugh out loud. So Goth Angel Tarot, they found a skull. Not a lot on the skull, but they used dental records to confirm that it was in fact Brian Laundrie's skull. And as we all know, you can't just leave your skull and your teeth behind and keep going. You can leave your teeth behind. Shout out, who was it? Nev Campbell and you know what I'm talking about? That movie?
Yeah. Yep.
But this isn't really like that. These are teeth that were still attached to a skull. So it's just a bit different. And so they, you know, they know he died, like his whole body died there, you know. They don't know how. But again, it's obvious it's a suicide or death by misadventure. I think we can kind of comfortably say it's one of the two. I don't think anyone killed him.
Jameson thinks it's GSW.
What was that? I think it's a GSW. I don't think there's a deal in place because I don't think the parents have come even close to breaking the law. Jameson, I agree with you. I think they did. I don't think they did. We have no fucking evidence for the fucking parents are pieces of shit theory. Like, just none, in my opinion. Shannon says, people are saying you can get a dental mold done, and they think the parents and lawyer had this done and faked it with attaching the mold with a tie. What? With the partial skull. Yeah, see, Shannon, they would be able to figure that out pretty quick in a forensic lab, though. Apex says they could definitely be faking his death.
No, I can't hop on that train.
Yeah, I can't either. There's no way in hell. I mean, you know, again, if that proves to be true, maybe hell will freeze over and we can have a snowball fight, guys. I'm into it. As says, I agree with GSW. I do too. I don't think the Laundries had. Again, I think he went there and set up a fucking suicide, and the weather fucked it up because bitch didn't look at the weather section of his phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if the weather cooperated, we would have came upon something completely different.
Yeah. But yeah, Goth Angel Tarot, they only found a skull.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched that the boars might have just...
Yeah, boars. Yeah, boars could have. Yeah. He could have, I mean, any number of things. Maybe, let's say he went out there and was sleeping. Genuinely died of misadventure. There's a lot of things that could have happened to him. We're hearing about snakes. We're hearing about gators. We're hearing about, boar. Swamp cows, I guess, are apparently a fucking thing.
Like zombie cows?
Yeah, kind of. That's how I imagine them. So early on, Arianthe had shown me a statement that the police had made that their thermal imaging was botched over the Carlton Reserve initially because of the presence of cows, swamp cows.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm still like, the fuck are you talking about, some swamp cows? I've never heard of such a thing. And but sure enough, you can Google swamp cows, and there's cows in swamps. But I hear people are like, not in the Carlton Reserve, and I'm like, that's why I'm confused. But maybe deep enough in there's cows or something, wild cows. But it's a fucking trip. Yeah, it's a trip. But apparently, the joke was, we thought initially, well, maybe he's in the Carlton Reserve hiding in a cow like a tauntaun. like Luke Skywalker on Hoth. You know what I'm saying?
Back Mountain, whatever the movie was, but he like carves open a buffalo and hides in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what we thought for a minute. We were like, all right, maybe he's in a swamp cow. But nah, I mean, if he was, that swamp cow woke up, sewed itself up, and continued eating him.
Oh, jeez.
But again, I don't think even gators leave like a full intact skull, do they? That seems like little predaceous critters got him, or fish and shit got him, or just the water genuinely washed it clean. That was a lot of water rising and receding in a pretty quick amount of time.
Yeah, I think I'm just right on the Occam's razor kind of theories. You know, the simplest answer is usually the right one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just so weird when he literally walked into what feels like a forest full of razors. It's like he could have fucking literally thing. Like there's so many logical things now. The more we've narrowed it down, but now we're in this field of, well, I wonder what did kill him. What, you know.
I have a sneaking suspicion we're not going to find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just not enough to figure it out.
I mean, it was, you know, the fact that they ruled it inconclusive. And 206 bones in a body, where they at, says Sunbeam. Exactly. I mean, maybe in an animal, maybe at the bottom of that, of the closest body of water, washed away by the weather and elements. The universe said we get a mystery, and I don't think Brian Laundrie set it up to be a mystery. I think the universe did that shit to us. And Brian Laundrie didn't look at the weather tab on his phone when setting up a suicide, which is weird. Definitely doesn't speak to narcissistic suicidal actions, because normally you want to be found if you're a narcissist and you've killed yourself. You know what I mean? Normally you're like, this is how I want to be found a certain way, and here's how I want to be found, and you make sure that shit can play out. But, you know.
Do boys eat the bones, though? I don't know.
I would imagine they can.
I mean...
Right? Surely. I've seen pigs eat anything. I've seen pigs eat other pigs.
This one woman, and she had like a pig farm, and she would hire like a handyman, and if she didn't like him or whatever the heck went on, she would just feed him to the boars, and all they found was like one person's femur. So, I mean, where's the rest of it?
Ooh. Turned it into meal and chunked up inside a shite and then turned into topsoil. I mean, functionally.
It was a really interesting story, but they didn't find much of them. So they probably ate it.
They probably ate it. Yeah.
So,
hey, what up, Kyle?
They just, or they just don't give a shit and they're not looking for the rest of the bones. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is Kyle Stan Odie?
No, he's Danny Boy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think. Stanny Boy and Stan Odie. I call him Stan Odie because we watched the Heaven's Gate tapes.
Oh, God.
On stream. We watched the last of the Heaven Gates tape on stream, and Stan Odie was there. Well, yeah, now he's Stan Odie, because everybody in Heaven's Gate had, like, Dan Odie. I'd be Mercody,
Makes sense.
Yeah. You'd be Rick Odie, because there's no vowels.
Lux says, my coworker agrees with the botched soup and sides idea.
Oh. Manpower / interest hella cut. Yeah. That makes sense. Coworker agrees with botched soup and sides. Yep.
Hogs eat whole chickens. Not sure about human bones. Guess I could find out.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's okay.
Yeah. Lux says she's a little behind on the water bottle, but here's what's up, lady. There's a straight up water bottle that is got to be their water bottle. If you go into the conspiracy corner in Discord, Lux, there's and any new viewers, we have an open Discord link in description.
Yes, drop the link.
I'll tell you right now, oof.
Boars would chomp the body for sure, but the question is, if there's zero flesh, was there enough time to clean bones like that, even if animals feasted?
Fuck yeah, if there was a whole month. Fuck yeah, there was time, a whole month.
I wonder if birds, like, there's a lot of animals out there that would have their pickings, you know?
How long do leftovers stay in your fridge, and if they make it to a month, how much is fucking left? You know what I'm saying? Like, hell yeah, they had time. He was potentially there a month.
Oh, Jameson. I really don't think JLR is out there planting lighters and socks and water bottles. I just don't. Plus, they all met up at 8 a.m. as soon as the park got reopened. So,
Oh,
unless
yeah.
they like snuck in there when they weren't supposed to. I don't know. I don't think that they planted anything. I really don't.
Oh, with the law. Oh, yeah, trust these clowns. I say they're planting evidence. Yeah. I mean, I understand why law enforcement would take that stance at this point, too, because they have the evidence they feel like they probably need to try to determine a cause of death. I am still fucking shocked there's not a hole in that skull that we can match to a caliber of gun he might have had.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at first.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, they're going to say just shot to the head and it's a done deal, but
I promise I wouldn't hurt him. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Pigs, 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 pigs. Yeah.
aw.
Yeah. He'll do whatever it takes to make money out of this, says Jameson. Yeah. Oh shit, Stanody. Oh shit, okay, back up. Oh shit, word. I was confused by the Kyle Stan. I was like, is that my Stanody, baby? I'll call you whatever you want, baby. I'm still calling you Stanody.
I mean, Jameson, anything is possible. I don't know JLR, so anything's possible. But they were all together, so that would mean like 6 people were in on it. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Oh, these are career fraudsters. That's I guess, an interesting point. Yeah. Yeah. They are career fraudsters, but
I didn't know that.
yeah. Well, a lot of these people that kind of protest and get involved in true crime, they're trying to pull off a don't fuck with cats, but they're being all Westboro Baptist Church about it. And so I guess it does fit the psych profile that a few of them could go rogue and plant some fucking evidence, even unbeknownst to the rest of that crew, just like psychologically speaking. And sure,
It's definitely possible.
that's why I don't like extremist groups. It kind of makes sense that, like, you know, it's just funny that, like, we live in a world where we have extremes in the Midwest that sometimes, like, they're so varied. The extremists you'll see sometimes are, you know, you'll let the Westboro Baptist Church people, Baptist Christian extremists, right? That show up to things and
Yeah.
protest. Then you have true crime extremists
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
who cross religious lines. Like, their group is, like, as far as I know, multiple different, like, fundamentalist Christian groups getting together, you know.
Jeez.
Tractor Basil says Westboro Baptist Church is 3 miles from my house. Yeah, they wouldn't like me. They
I don't want to comment.
yeah, yeah. Let's say Merc Radio had a live event, we'd be in trouble. They'd probably protest. Fucking heathens.
Big trouble.
Yeah, well, we're the most intelligent heathens in the game. Believe it or not, back in 2011, I was neighbor to the Laundries. I lived with my brother. Crazy Dan. Oh, that's your troll name account.
Oh, Jesus, Stanley. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Dude twisted his ankle, got caught in high water. Been there before, so parents knew where to look. Boom, there he is. This is John McSmith. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. So how many of you maybe think he injured himself in like a way he's stuck? I particularly like that theory because I don't think he's an actual good outdoorsman. I think he has that fucking reputation for some reason, but he's not actually,
Yeah, he just wasn't counting on the weather.
Yeah. Wasn't counting on the weather. What if he drowned fucking in a high rush of water?
It's possible.
Huh. Maybe. I don't know. I just thought. Fucking, this is what's crazy. Like, I literally feel like he died in a fucking swamp of potential of deaths. Like, he could have been anything logically.
There's so many possibilities. Like the other day, someone said the brown recluse thing, and then someone said, he could have like drowned in water and then bloated, and then once the animals ate him, all his bones scattered. Like, there's literally endless possibilities with nature.
Yeah.
Brian is a camper.
Sunbeam says, wouldn't...
But I'm not going to be able to live out there by myself. No way.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of what he means is like he's a camper, but he's not Bear Grylls. He's not Grizzly Man. But
yeah, like lamping.
Yeah, Sunbeam posits a really interesting question. Why wouldn't the dry bag have been floating on top of the water? Are the police really that incompetent in their search? I think the dry bag sank because of the contents were heavier than the amount of air could lift to the surface. I think there was a notebook and some other things that were heavy in there. That's why I thought maybe there was a gun in the dry bag, but that wouldn't make sense if he killed himself with the gun and put it back in a dry bag because he's dead. So, I don't know, but I think there must have been something heavy enough to keep it drop to the bottom.
What if he got struck by lightning? Talk about karma. Hell yeah.
Wouldn't that be some shit? I think you could tell by like if the teeth were all fucking burned though, right?
I have no idea. Sometimes it like enters through your head and goes out through your foot.
Yeah. If you manage to find a way to fucking ground yourself and shit too, you can fucking skate right through that. Plenty of people who've lived through lightning strikes.
Okay. Have you ever seen what lightning does when it strikes sand?
Oh yeah, it turns that shit to glass.
So awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's why I believe the nuclear glass in our deserts is from a period in the Younger Dryas era of the planet when it was just raining sheets of lightning, if you could imagine that. I think that actually probably happened and forced humans into caves. And I think we had something before the Younger Dryas, and it was destroyed by the Younger Dryas, by the planet's just might. So he wouldn't die out his shoe, die in his shoe. Yeah. Okay, Stanody. You know what? I think lightning's a totally valid theory. Maybe he was also wet enough it didn't
Ooh, and if he didn't like shoes, he probably wasn't walking around in socks.
Yeah.
Unless he had the socks for the bug bites, because those bugs are awful.
Yeah. Bama fan says shot to the head would make the most sense, and that's what I was gambling on. But baby, there's no gun, there's no hole in the head. They're sending in an anthropologist to try to figure it out. An anthropologist to figure out how this fucker died. Ain't got nothing to do with holes or calibers or gun. There was no gun. He didn't.
Yeah, they would have been gun there for sure.
Yeah, if he shot himself, he didn't do it in the head. I wonder if he slit his wrist, I don't think it was something, I think maybe it could have been misadventure. Again, he died in a swamp of potential deaths.
Quicksand. It's
Quicksand. Valid. You know what I mean? Maybe he found some sand we don't know about that fucking eats a human clean and spits out the skull when it burps. I don't know, dude. Like, it fucking, you could be onto it. Like, rising water and nowhere to run. He was stuck, says John McSmith. Yeah, if he hurt himself intentionally or otherwise, very easy to get caught in that rising water. So drowning in the end, but like maybe did something to harm himself to get stuck physically, or maybe unintentionally physically got stuck. He's pretty close to that car. And I can't help but think he was trying to stage a suicide. That his parents could at least have the notes and let the authorities know, hey, he's here. Note says that direction. And the cops will go find it, but I don't know. But what we've ruled out gun, we've ruled out hanging. It's just literally everything else that could happen to a human out in the wild.
Man. All right. Maybe he stepped on like a rusty nail or a tin can and he got tetanus. That's what it is.
Maybe so.
I'm just throwing out crazy ideas.
That's today. Again, I was going to do a Dune review today. Monday is normally entertainment news now, but I was a little too juiced up by this forensic anthropologist news, and I haven't seen the new Dune yet. Issues with my HBO Max. Ooh, I am pumped too. I have gotta see it. I'm like vibrating with anticipation to see this movie.
I want to see it so bad.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
Aww.
Dune. I don't know. It's one of the that book series is one of those that's like there's a YouTube channel, Quinn's Ideas. And he got me basically fucking obsessed with Dune. Like
That channel for me.
oh, and I've been there since it started. Like he started as Ideas of Ice and Fire, and then it kind of became Ideas of Spice and Sand because it was all Dune content, and then it just kind of now he's reviewing other sci-fi series. Like he just turned me on to one I'm definitely gonna fucking read. Oh yeah, it's a video he did in his last few days. Like genuinely one of the most terrifying sounding science fiction trilogies ever written.
That's alright if you think of it.
But no sci-fi today, I suppose, because I didn't get a chance to see the new Dune. But if anybody wants to talk about the new Dune, I'm down to, because I know a lot about Dune. I've definitely read that book, and from what I hear, that film is half of like the first book, and that's dope.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're setting up as many sequels as possible, but I wish they would just get to God Emperor Dune already. I want to see a giant worm person. I want it to be horrific. I want Cronenberg to come back and design the worm. I want it to be gross. I want it to fucking leave people unnerved.
Where's our John? I think he had a doctor's appointment, but I love hearing his like talking about movies.
Oh
my
yeah.
goodness.
Oh yeah. I'd love to hear his opinion on the David Lynch Dune, because I love the David Lynch Dune. I love seeing Prince Eric scream, "Father! The sleeper has awoken!" I love that shit. I love the original Dune. Patrick Stewart. I'm all about it. Fucking Sting is Fade Rotha. Fuck yeah. Jameson, what are the odds he's close to his car? You have to reasonably expect that he intended to take his life. So what did he take with him to accomplish that goal? If it has to be pills, it has to be pills or a gun, says Jameson. Yes, that's what my mind logically says. It sucks we can't really get a proper toxicology on Brian Laundrie because it's just a skull. It's dope it still had its teeth so we could get dental records. But pills make sense to me. He's too squeamish for a gun. I agree with that, John Smith. I don't think he's somebody that has that in him. Had that in him. I mean, it was something out there because I thought it would be the easiest thing for him to go out with. Because I've known some squeamish, kind of weak character. I've watched all of the Bjork Stalker tapes on stream, and that's somebody you might not expect if you were to psych profile him to necessarily kill himself with a gun. You'd expect him to harm others with a gun. Maybe do something else.
Stan Odie said he hasn't seen either of the Dunes.
Yeah, you better give both a good watch and read the book, boy. Fear's the Mind Killer. You better. Oh man. All of it. It's all good. The Benny Gesserit, boy. Ooh, that power of the voice. I saw a little clip where they kind of show the Reverend Mother Helen Mohayim using the voice on Paul, and it looks great. It looks
All
fucking
the
sick.
audiobooks are free on YouTube.
All of the Dune audiobooks are free on YouTube. Guys, if I could suggest anything, God Emperor of Dune. Do not trust power. Do not trust majesty. It's a great series.
Let's see.
He also had $1,000 and he left his wallet, but we can't locate any of it.
What, Jameson?
Use it all on the way home. He might have. It's just $1,000. This dude's drinking kombucha and shit.
I just went up north and gas is $3.50 a gallon. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I just moved across country. I could probably go through $1,000, like less than right now. Like,
Yeah, gas, food.
Yeah.
It gets pricey.
yeah,
I don't know that I've ever drove that far though. Probably Massachusetts to Florida, which is only 24 hours. So
yeah.
who knows? Who knows what the hell he bought? I think they'll release that though, because eventually they'll release the video from the gas stations and stuff, and that's going to be eerie as shit.
Yeah. I was looking to kill myself and had $1,000. Yeah, I'd buy a gun and shoot myself. But I see Jameson. I don't. What I mean? Okay, so maybe he shot himself somewhere that wasn't the head, or maybe he shot himself in a soft entrance place, and it didn't leave an exit wound, and there's no residual bullet or fragment. I don't know, man. There's no evidence that he shot himself, from what I'm hearing. So that's what's got me so confuddled. Is that, yeah, so logically, again, if we're following just like the clear logical pattern, it would have been pills, right? You would have raised your body's toxicity to the point that you can't move, the rising water takes you, and he kind of gets to go out like somebody he idolized, McCandless from Into the Wild, right? We all know he wanted to go out like dude from Into the Wild, right? That's the vibe I got off of his Pinterest. That's one of the reasons I thought he was dead, was like, he's going to go off and die in the wild.
Okay. I don't know. When I heard about the news, I was like, well, but that seems scary to me. Like,
Yeah.
I was just gonna go to from my car, just walk close. Like, that's why he didn't go real far. He just wanted to get the deed done. Probably wrote a little note or whatever,
Yeah.
and then did whatever he did.
Yeah. No, Jameson, that gas price is high, and I could go take a 1K trip that's under an hour. Like, I'm just saying, man, like, I could go burn $1,000 less than right now. Like, in less than a quarter of a second, I could have that shit gone. John Smith, right, McCandless. Yeah, so he wanted to go out like McCandless, so maybe he did. He simulated, he raised his body's toxicity and got somewhere where he knew the water would take him. Maybe he put himself into water. I like the idea that he's at some point in the fetal position on his right side, cold and damp, and feeling helpless and calling out for his mom, like that read we got from Az. I haven't let that go, and I think that fucking happened at some point. I can't shake the feeling that it happened at some point.
Yeah, I still think they might have, like, we're gonna go check on him, and then when they didn't, they didn't find him, he maybe thought, they don't care where I am. Maybe that's when he, like, was crying on the ground. Who knows?
Jameson, an hour. Yeah, Jameson, I could burn $1,000 not even leaving the fucking town I'm in. Not even leaving this apartment, brother. Like, that's not that much money. You could definitely, especially if you have to go from Utah back to Florida, that money could have been gone before he even got there. Or he used it to pay something off, or it went to back bills, or he went to, there's so much shit. I mean, that's only $1,000.
I'm gonna look up the weather.
Keep in mind, this is a post-stonkulous world, so we've all been stonk. Like, we've all seen like $7,000 show up, some of us. So it's just a different United States right now. Like $1,000 don't go nowhere. One fact need to know: when did that area flood? When after the 11th? It was,
I'm looking it up right now.
yeah, I was gonna say we wrote it down in the timeline. It was like the day after he fucking killed himself. Like the day after he killed himself. Hey, what up? What up, Twitch? I'd bet. What's up, homie?
Average town.
Yeah, see, I just don't think he bought a gun with it. I think he probably, if anything, bought a whole bunch of pills he liked. On the streets, especially in Florida, let's say he knows where to get opiates like a motherfucker. And he just took opiates and benzos to the point of like, like functional overdose, Because I'll be honest, I could spend $1,000 at a drug dealer's house fucking in less than a minute.
Please.
And I'm telling you right now, $1,000 worth of any drug is not going to kill me. So I'm gonna need more than that.
Sadly, I have a high tolerance, so I ain't gonna do it either.
Yeah. What kind of herb is this? It's an indica something. I forget. I'm burning a hash. Right now.
Can I find? Sorry.
Indica hash of some kind is great. It's a really good indica hash. But yeah, drugs, okay. Yeah, see, that's drugs are bad, okay, but if I'm in a drug dealer's house, I'm looking to kill myself.
Okay.
I could probably buy $1,000 of something that I could put in my arm and then be real mad that doesn't kill me. But so maybe he went to like a Walgreens and bought a whole bunch of something, because that's how I'd have to
They
kill
did
myself.
go to Walmart. They did go to Walmart.
Oh. Well, Stano, he's smoking some great vape. That's a dope strain. Was it 1,000, or we know the exact amount? Well, we know it was 1,000 because he had the warrant for pulling 1,000. He pulled exactly $1,000 out of that fucking bank account.
The ATM, yeah, at that gas station.
Yeah.
I didn't even think you could take 1,000 out. My bank doesn't let me take 1,000 out. But I also have a credit union, so maybe that's why.
You could set limits, but I bet because of their situation, they had it to where they could pull out more than 1,000 at a time.
Yeah, that's true. And I remember traveling to like the Caribbean. I had to call my bank and let them know, because when I got there, they shut my card off because they thought it was fraud.
Yeah.
So I had to so that makes sense.
I know if they
do 2 transactions of 500,
there you go.
no more than that.
Okay.
Yeah. I see, and it's it's a I was bringing up, it's a post-stimulus world, so a lot of people have a prepaid card from the government that is a bank account that already has thousands of dollars in it, and they're cleared, and it's a regular transaction to pull $1,000. So you won't get that weird ping from your bank like, hey, you don't normally do that. The fuck? Because we're post-stimulus world and people have pulled out their shit in cash, and I would imagine van life people are pulling their shit out in cash. They seem like that kind of folk. Again, I speculate they were going to music festivals and stuff, or were planning to, probably going to come back through, hit Red Rocks, shit like that, Stuff where you take a little bit of them ecstasy pills and you go a little fucking nutty. I guarantee that was going to happen.
Be young again.
Right? Right? Chief and I have taken naps in gravel parking lots. I've done Molly with him and taken a nap in a gravel parking lot. Now we're both old dads, and I bet if we did that, we would be upset when we woke up.
I couldn't deal with the hangover. I don't know how I did then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, my brain was mush. Absolute.
That ended up being why I quit drinking. I have the shakes the next morning unless I drink. If I drink too heavy the night before, it's like my metabolism or something. My liver and kidneys are like, baby, you better get some more sauce in you, or you're just gonna be a shaky mess.
Yeah, no. Sadly, that's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, so I quit drinking pretty quick. I was like, I'm out. I can't. It's not even worth it. Well, like all of my family's alcoholics. Like they all have addiction or alcoholism of some form. So I don't even fuck around with it. It's one of those things where like it's fucking I don't even have the palate for it now, and that's so nice. Like it's like it's like my first time drinking a fucking shitty dry wine every time I try to drink a wine.
I'm a sober cobra.
Yeah, see, I've just managed to break myself of that shit.
Yeah, no turning back for me. I had my fun, let's just say that.
Stacy Cruz Ham on YouTube says, I seen on another site his mom takes meds because she has cancer or something, and someone said maybe he took a bunch of her pills. Yeah, maybe he ran off with a bunch of her pain pills or something. He could have ran off with again, like what you're looking for is like did he get a hold of a bunch of opiates? Did he get a hold of I mean, there's a variety of shit you can OD on that you can buy over the counter. And if you have $1,000 in your pocket, you can get enough of it. You know?
Well, I don't know about the opiates.
Yeah. John Smith, you don't take pills for cancer. No. But you do take them for pain. And I know every cancer patient I've known has been prescribed an unusual amount of opiates, or they are like me and they say, fuck the opiates, give me that sweet weed card.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I couldn't handle my chronic illness if I was on. I definitely wouldn't be doing this if I was on opiates. Be on the couch watching TV.
Yeah, fuck opiates, dude.
Falling asleep and shit. Yeah. I take pills for cancer for my pain. Yeah, I see exactly. It's for pain.
Interesting.
Yeah. But oh yeah. Real quick. I meant to actually fucking Google this shit. What does a forensic anthropologist do when human remains or a suspected burial are found? Forensic anthropologists are called upon to gather information from what the bones and their recovery context. And their recovery context to determine who died, how they died, and how long ago they died. Forensic anthropologists specialize in analyzing hard tissue such as bones. So typically, this is what not cracked me up. This is what fucking kind of broke my heart about the situation. Is I've only seen this when they're trying to figure out how, like, you know, a fucking mummy died. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, it's a little spoopy to me that it's they're pulling it in to check on Brian Laundrie, who's a pretty recent cadaver. And I mean, by recent, I mean a month. But again, in forensic anthropology, sometimes they're dealing with bodies that are hundreds of years old.
Yeah, they're experts on the bones and the markings and what should be there, what shouldn't be there. Like, you'd be amazed at what they can do with that.
Yeah. I guess they're going to also know what may be picked at them and stuff, too, based off of what's on the bones. You make a good point there. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have... I'm optimistic that they'll definitely pull a cause of death, because they can pull a cause of death from so much less. That's so much older.
Yep.
People in that field. But
and we can figure out how old the person was.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oof. Did you guys hear that they're not going to do a funeral for Brian Laundrie?
Where'd you hear that?
I believe it was was it a Bertolino statement? Somebody linked me an article that I read, I believe, on Saturday? Maybe it was Sunday. Maybe it was yesterday. But that's what I heard, was that they've opted out of doing any kind of actual funeral service.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Which, high profile, but you'd think they'd have their own,
do something private. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're doing right now. Maybe that's why they're all out of town.
Oh, yeah. That would explain. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you.
Too. I forget exactly where, but her mom lives in Florida too. So.
Does Roberta Laundrie have fucking cancer? Is that true?
I have not seen it confirmed. We wouldn't know that because of HIPAA.
Oh, yeah. She's the opposite of making public statements. That's true.
Hmm.
Huh.
I don't know. The other guy across the street does. He came out and told the protesters, like, I'm going through chemo, and you're really disturbing me. And they still went there anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, John McSmith. Yeah, I don't think it's even a possibility. They ruled that there's only one suspect in the death of Gabby Petito, and that's Brian Laundrie. He killed her in the second degree, left her where he killed her, drove the van back home. Was there for a while, didn't tell his parents what the fuck was going on, lied about the situation, left a suicide note, in my opinion, and fucking killed himself out in the fucking swamp. Or died of misadventure out in the swamp. Or, I'm kind of liking this, he's trying to emulate McCandless theory. Because that's what my profile said about the guy forever ago. Like, if he is as shallowly interested in if he's not actually getting the fucking point of some of these books, which Into the Wild is, if you're not reading that as a cautionary tale, if you're turning that into hero worship, you're not reading that right. Like, you are not reading that right. Motherfucker ate the wrong thing and died in a river. Like, do not do that. Like, dude, you know. Yeah, I think it's most likely that. I think he's, also somebody who's reading things and not actually getting the actual message of the fucking story. He's kind of getting the socially propagated hero worship of a story. Your Fight Club characters, your McCandlesses,
why come home then?
Probably where he wanted to die, or maybe he, again, like, people handle fear in different ways. I think it was second degree, right? So I think it was I think he had like I don't know, just a rush of motherfucking adrenaline. Like, there was just impulses and actions that probably wouldn't make sense to us because he's kind of going through the unimaginable. And that's not me justifying his actions in any way. Like, he's going through the unimaginable that he put himself through because he's a fucking idiot piece of shit. Like, I want to make that clear. But he is dealing with the unimaginable in his mind. Like, you're gonna do weird ass shit. You're gonna drive home. You're gonna fucking lie. You're gonna build lies on top of other lies because you don't even know if what you did was fucking. Maybe didn't they make it out like he has episodes and kind of blacks out in anger?
I don't know what Rose meant by episodes.
Yeah.
That could be an array of things. But she would say, when he had his episode, she would come sleep at my house. And then she said, that happened about 7 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. People are assuming Roberta has cancer because of the drone footage. Oh. Look, I was convinced there was a hand coming up out of a goddamn flower bed because of the drone footage. So, yeah, I'm ruling everything from the drone footage out. That's some bunk shit. It's like some... That was weird. That was a weird time in the speculation train where it's like, look at this drone footage, boy. That is... I talked about that with my baby mama. Like, she was like, did you see that drone footage? And I was like, bitch, did I?
Did you see that they had cameras on the back of their house?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, why didn't the cops take that.
Pull that footage. I think because they had like we have on our timeline, they saw him leave out the front door. The press saw him leave to his suicide. We let him go kill himself. Brian Enton was there. Remember? Like, he reported Brian Laundrie has left to go camping. Like, he was there. We saw it. It happened in front of all of us. He went and killed himself in front of everybody. Like, so I mean, they don't even need the cameras. They have it on camera.
I was just curious, like, if someone drove there, or like, what the hell? I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
Well,
way too far looking into it, but I'd love to see, like, the demeanor of them then. Like, if he's just chilling, if he looks nervous, if he doesn't go outside at all, like, if mom and dad are business as usual. I would love to see, like, what was going on. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
yeah, me too. I would have loved to see, like, if it's, you know, that's one thing I thought was interesting about the drone footage was they were gardening and I think trying to pass the time and maintain their home is what was interesting about it to me. Like, to me, that spoke more of, like, you know, these people are grieving. But yeah, no, straight up, Brian Laundrie, like, we pulled that timeline together, and that's what was shocking to me was we have a tweet from Brian Enton talking about him Brian leaving the premises. And that's obviously, that's when he left in the Mustang, went to that portion of the reserve and killed himself. Died. We don't know cause of death yet, but again, like, I think he killed himself. I think we have, like, I think the cops have, like, a solid, like, when it happened and where it happened now, but it's the fucking why and how it happened. But I don't think he fucking, but yeah, that was the report from Brian Enton was Brian Laundrie went alone in the Mustang, right? It was his tweet. He made a tweet. Brian Laundrie leaves alone in the Mustang for blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I always thought nobody knew that, like, when he slipped out.
That's what I thought too until I was writing the timeline at the end of last week. And I was on Brian Laundrie's Twitter and somebody had told me to send me a link to that tweet where it was like, the Mustang's gone, the Mustang's back, the Mustang's gone again. You know what I mean? Like the journey of the Mustang, basically. It was while we were tracking that. There's a clear Brian Enton tweet where he's like, Brian Laundrie leaves to go camping. And this bitch lost his own clues. Sorry.
Oh, Lordy.
But to be fair, I thought there was no significance to them in the Mustang at first.
Right.
The press had well distracted. That's what's weird about this story to me too. Is once we pieced together that timeline and we actually read back through the tweets, I was like, the fuck? How did we all not, like, notice this? And it's because the press was so fucking distracting. Like, they had us when we should have been looking at that goddamn Mustang going camping. Do you know where we were fucking looking? Fucking and in the Appalachian Trail and shit. Like, as viewers, we were fucking all over. Like, I was all over the place. Like, I lost that clue entirely. So I don't think it's, like, bad reporting on Brian Enton's part to forget that he reported that supposedly Brian left in the Mustang and disappeared into the Carlton Reserve, because, like, the next day, instead of all of us thinking he was dead in the reserve, everybody was like, he's on game cam. Like,
Yeah.
I know I went hammer with that. I was like, that was one of the first solo videos. Was a friend of mine's friend was the person who posted that, like, first game cam sighting of just a bald weirdo on his property.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was on the, he's dead. Or nobody even thought he was in the reserve.
No. Yeah.
That was just a decoy. He's headed for the hills. He's in Mexico. He's here. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Ugh. That was a shit show.
I'll never stand out. He says he'll never forgive the boomer in North Carolina with bad eyesight for saying he saw him. Yeah, that dude was so convinced. He's calling the fucking. Oh, I've seen him. Oh my god, it's gotta be him. He's got. Oh shit. It's like, dude, calm down. There's. Your energy makes me not believe you.
I mean, it was good TV.
It was good, yeah. He was better than John Walsh. John Walsh ruined his credibility, in my opinion, over this case. This motherfucker drank some wine, went on TV, and said dude should kill himself. And then dude showed up dead, potentially of a suicide. This should ruin John Walsh's career. This should ruin his career. That is some...
That was so inappropriate that he said that.
You know what? And honestly, everybody who's fucking puts their face on camera about this fucking story has received less fucking heat because John Walsh is probably getting the majority of that shit. That is the fucking you crossed a line bullshit. Like, I've said I think he's killed himself. I hope he gets eaten by a gator. I hope he dies by misadventure. Blah, blah, blah. Never once did I say, particularly on a platform that large, that he should fucking kill himself.
Yeah, that's just...
You urge the person to turn themselves in.
I don't know what he was thinking.
He wasn't. And here's another thing too. Any of the feds will tell you, hey, you're a famous person that might resonate with him. Will you please try to get him home?
Exactly. And I know we're not like in love with Dog, but that is what he tries to do.
That is what Dog tries to do, yeah.
We don't want you to get hurt. We want to work with you here. Like, just talk to us. You know, he's not like, I don't give a shit what happens to him. Take him out dead or alive.
Exactly.
At least he's on that train of like, you know, let's do this safely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all I'm going to give Doug.
Yeah. And, you know, I've been thinking a lot about the sentiments that I've kind of picked up from Jameson. And I've been rewatching, like, the newest HBO Watchmen series. And, yeah. There will be no mob justice today. You know? Like, fuck that shit. That mob justice shit proved to be wrong, too, because I don't think the Laundries had anything to do with that shit. And these motherfuckers, their neighbors were renting out lawn space to press. I hope they sue every fucking neighbor for a violation of their fucking privacy.
Yeah, look, like, I'm all for peaceful, and I say this, peaceful protesting.
Yeah.
But that, you know, what is peaceful and borderline tormenting them?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, to the point you have, when it's protests and outward mob cries, you have characters show up. And I couldn't explain this more, like, with Molly Golightly showing up. That's not the hurricane. That's just the face of it. Like, that, she shows up when things are to that point. You know what I mean? Like, she wouldn't have been there if there wouldn't have been a whole mob.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a manifestation of a character. That's a whole different type of, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, mob mentality. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily do something by yourself, like that, like stand out there by yourself.
yeah. Like, Andy Dick doesn't just show up on The View. You know, like, something has to happen. You know, like, and in this case, what happened was fucking mob justice, and it's fucking wrong. And that's what I feel like I've learned from
Not
this.
to mention, some of those signs were bordering on threats.
Oh, hella bordering on threats. They were calling them dirty laundry. They went full Trump tactic smear campaign on them.
Well, then the one about, you know, what if it was Cassie or whatever, those signs got pretty risky too.
And there were children in that house trying to live their lives. You know? That's just how I feel. Like, that's, you know, some fucking mob justice, and it was a bad fucking call. Big Golightly being yeah. Molly Golightly went in heavy, but she went in heavy for her fucking constituents, if you will. Imagine she is a voted in Wind of Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
They paid for her to go.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all sent me the money for a fucking plane ticket to go somewhere, you better believe I'm going. I mean, what do you guys want me to see me? What do you guys want to see me do there? You want me to interview people? You want me? I would do it.
Yeah, but I highly doubt you would be like, I hope your house burns down. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's taking it a little too far, please.
Yeah. Well, her fucking, I bet you she had talking points ready that she got from her fans. Like, I hope their house burns down is probably something she read from an anonymous. What she said vibes like someone who's anonymous behind a keyboard sometimes. You're like, oh shit. She went there. She's talking about smoking out the house like John Wayne. Yeah, she was going to burn him out. I'm going to find that fucking bunker and I'm going to fucking find Brian in there. Yeah, she was hot for it. Like, but again, Barney doesn't show up to like, unless there's a whole bunch of kids there using their imagination. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
that's what happens. That's what you get. This is how you get Molly Golightly. You fucking people out there talking about smoking out that house.
Puff and I'll puff.
Yeah, into the FBI and ignore Petito's phone calls for days, and you live in Florida. This is America, says Sunbeam. I mean, yeah. Look. I just don't think their actions are that suspicious. The family. I think they should. I think Bertolino. I think this falls on Bertolino's shoulders. He should have made a statement sooner. He should have come out being my cousin Stevie way fucking sooner. He should have been on the press like he was the other day talking about fucking, I'm sorry to lose my temper with you. Like, like he should have been doing that shit a month before now. Like, he didn't fucking talk to the mainstream press outside of texting Brian Inton. Which,
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't have a right to peacefully put signs, maybe just stand out there in hopes that they would come out. But some of the...
I don't think they should have been putting signs on their property.
yeah.
That's my one thing I thought was a little weird.
Their defense is they had the cops come out, and that's a public easement, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I mean, Molly went right up to the door,
Yeah.
opened the door, and threw papers in there. I mean, we still have rights.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if I was the parent, I'd be a little bit afraid that there's a mob outside my house.
Well, here's my bottom line. What those people were protesting about is libelous. It's a lie. It's not true. And they
Yeah, we
don't
have facts.
yeah, and while they do have the right to say that shit, the person who they're saying it about has the fucking right to sue the dick off of them for libel. Like,
Well, they turned around and sued them for taking one of their signs.
well, for $40 in a Zoom court case, it's gonna get thrown out in 2 seconds. Like, that's not even gonna happen. Like, again, like there's a family who's in the right here, and it's the Laundries. What those people were saying were fucking lies, and we know that now. And they're gonna take that ass to court. Like, I guarantee they fucking have the right to anyway, because again, that shit was, yeah, all lies. They weren't guilty of anything. They hadn't been convicted. It's innocent until proven guilty in this fucking country, like, for sure. Like, and while they did have the right, they don't have the right to say that kind of shit.
Yeah, like, that's just harassing.
It is harassment, and it's libel. Like, it's specifically illegal what they did, like, especially after the fact. Now, during the moment, I understand why the cops might be confused. Like, okay, we do have to let people fucking say their grounds, or like say their fucking mind. But no, not now. Now it's like, bitch, that's fucking a lie, and everyone knows it. So that's my opinion on that, and I think that's gonna be the black and white on it. Haven't they started clearing those fuckers out? There's still people there protesting.
I'm not sure. I don't care enough to follow that.
Yeah, I didn't follow that anymore either. After Molly left the Carlton Reserve, I stopped watching what was going on the ground in Florida. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna. Yeah.
I think that a lot of them are back out at the reserve today, like looking for more evidence. They're like diehard.
Hey, well, there are more bones out there to be found, so.
But that's more helpful, in my opinion, than screaming at the parents.
That's far more helpful. Shout out those people, I suppose, that are trying to, because they might find something that is actually, that's why I'm kind of. I think there might be something to that water bottle.
The same people.
Yeah.
The protesters are the same people that are out there that found the water bottle and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That's
I don't know.
Well, that's I like that. To see if they're kicked out of the house and have to go protest somewhere like the Carlton Reserve and wait for their lawsuits, that's fine. That's fine. Like, and go help, maybe genuinely help. Like, now that they know how they can help. And maybe, hopefully learn that they were wrong and mob justice doesn't fucking help. They didn't help. Maybe it's a PR push to finally fucking help. Tents are up, Media Circus still says Sunbeam Farm. Yeah, those people better watch it, because again, this is going to be ruled a certain way, and it's, I guarantee, going to be ruled that the Laundries had no fucking involvement in Brian fucking killing himself. And those people are gonna, the Laundries will be so fucking wealthy. Bertolino will win those lawsuits fucking blindfolded. Do you know why? Because everyone filmed themselves doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts there, though, too. Like, suppose Roberta is sick with cancer, and suppose they were going to get a divorce. Now their son comes home without the girlfriend, and that's a lot of high stress. And if the lawyer's telling me, don't say a word, I'm not going to say a word.
Yeah, I'm not going to say shit.
Sorry.
I agree with you, Eric. I'm not going to say shit.
And that's to say that, like, my son did not confess murder. Obviously, if he did, my side of that is like, I'm gonna convince him to turn himself in.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I love you, kid, but you have to pay the consequences.
You fucking have, you do have to do, like, you need to, we're not just lawyering up. If they say turn yourself in, you have to turn yourself in. If there's a bond, I'll bond you out, but you're not running. You're not running. Like, I'm gonna,
I'll sit there and talk with you all damn day long, but...
Yeah. You're going from being bonded out to a fucking safe house. Like, where you are fucking watched. Like, it would definitely be, because I don't think they fucking knew a single bit of it. And adding up this, like you mentioned, like this stress, this interpersonal stress that their relationship might have been under when Brian showed up. I just don't think it happened. I just don't think I think he said they broke up. They're selling the van, so he's got to empty it out. They fucking helped him do that. He was just back through, emptied out a storage unit to help fund the trip. Said, I've got that $1,000 cash. So, like, we've split our shit. And, again, but I'm somebody who just went through a divorce, and it's not hard to get your loved ones to fucking not talk about the person who's not there.
Right.
It's not hard to make that happen. And that's just, I couldn't imagine saying it to a couple that's maybe thinking about divorce and one of them might have cancer. It'd be that much easier for them to kind of not just believe your story, because again, you're their son and you seem upset, but to get them to give you some space. Like, hey, I just need to be in my room. Hey, I just want to go camping or something. Like, let's just go have a good time. Because, I've definitely, I don't know, like, there's something very human that I think actually played out there. That's a lot less sensational than what these protesters think happened.
And we could be wrong. I'm not afraid to say I could be wrong, and maybe they didn't know.
Yeah.
But with what information we have right now, I'm going to go with that and say that they knew something was up, but they didn't know exactly what.
Well,
You know, when my kids are upset and irrational, I know something's on their mind. But I don't go to murder or violence, or usually I'm like, oh, they got in a fight with someone, they're upset about it. I never go super extreme. Why would I?
yeah. Well, keep in mind, the press makes it out like the entirety of the Petito family was messaging specifically Roberta Laundrie by the 11th of September. But the only text that we can prove concrete actually happened was the 14th of September. So I think that them knowing happened a lot later than people think. And I think the window of them actually suspecting Brian is something happened between the 8th and the 12th. And
Well, on Dr. Phil, Joe said he went to the home and knocked on the door.
yeah,
And Christopher said, go away or whatever.
yeah. He definitely did say that, yeah, no, on the 12th. That, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I believe Mr. Petito when he says that. You know, but again, even...
But that's way after the camping. That's way after he went to his sister's house.
Yep, that's way at the 6th through the 8th. And again, I just don't think they know. And Jameson says ignoring texts and calls is not a crime. Again, maybe they were just calling for days and not texting. And Brian was there saying, oh, they're just trying to hem-haw about the breakup. You don't have the energy for it. And Roberta was like, I just don't have the energy for it. If she's ill already.
Yeah, maybe they don't get along. Maybe they don't particularly like each other, the families. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to have another confrontation.
Maybe they're glad a breakup happened.
Yes. Like, that is not a weird thing. If you see it from your son's side and you don't see it from the other person's side, you're like, okay, well, this is good. My son's miserable. He's this, he's that. Like, let's just be realistic. Like, humans, that's how we are.
Yeah, that's exactly how we are. That's, you know, so I agree with you. I think something must have happened around there, like something like that. Like there's just, I don't know. I'm really interested to see what this anthropologist says, because there's got to be something to at least the way they found the skull that says something.
And we know that they didn't tell their parents everything, because mom and dad did not even know about the Moab police encounter, at least for Gabby. So that means Brian probably didn't tell his parents either.
Yeah, they didn't know about that shit.
Yeah, no. She's like, can I call my parents? But like, they were like, no, we had no idea. We would have went and got her immediately. So they were trying to handle it themselves.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were like, oh, if they find out, they're going to say, we were right, you guys are toxic. Who knows? You know, that seems like most reasonable thing to me. Like,
yeah.
Oh, if we tell them, they're going to tell us to break up because it's been escalating. You know, do you remember when you were like in your 20s and your parent was like, oh, that's not the best relationship for you. And you were like, huh, I know better.
The dad calls the men that Gabby dates fucking female names.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jameson makes a point here, just watching from afar, I would absolutely hate it if a kid of mine married into the Petito family. Like, while I do love what the Petitos have done with their situation, again, guys, GabbyPetitoFoundation.org, check it out. If you have a place, if you want to donate some money to a good cause, that's a good place. I don't think he would have made a good father-in-law.
Yeah, he seems a little judgy and a little,
East Coast shitheel.
You know, he was pretty honest with Dr. Phil. Like, they were like, oh, did Gabby ever tell you that he was mean or abusive or that they fought or there was anything awry? And he goes, no, never. But she wouldn't tell me that because she knows I wouldn't like it.
He would blow up.
That says a lot.
That says a whole lot, Erica. Yes. Like, I fucking 100, right? Like, thank you. Like, he does not seem like the nicest of fucking people, you know. Like, again, I like what they've done with their platform, but I don't like how he lived a good chunk of his life. Like, he's like, dude, if a fucking dad of a chick I was dating was calling me a fucking feminine name, which has happened before. Like that just goes a certain way. Like I don't really give up like on that shit. Like I don't play that shit. I was raised by a felon, motherfucker. Like I don't do that.
It kind of says to me like no matter what man she dated, he was never going to be good enough.
Never. And
that's fine. Like, hey, good for you being daddy bear and all that, but like that makes me not want to tell you anything negative. I want to make it look like rainbows and fucking sunshine because I don't want you butting in and telling me who I can't date.
Exactly. And there's, not just butting in and telling me who I can't date. Could you just imagine like the little subtle things that happen? Think about the women that you might know that had dads like that and what they expect out of the world sometimes. There's a certain level of privilege and entitlement that comes to having an overprotective parent, and that goes both ways. I think they both had him. I think he had a mommy like that, and I think she had a daddy like that. Again, I think they were both equally parts fucking toxic, but only one of them is dead. Wait, they're both dead, excuse me. Only one of them was murdered. So
I know. I'm not making excuses at all. I'm just saying I think maybe the Petitos felt a certain type of way about the Laundries, and it went vice versa.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just have a feeling.
Yeah. Like, I don't think my mom's texting back. Like, I don't think, like, if they were to text my mom, which nobody would, my mom can get fucking wild, especially during a breakup. Like, she's definitely taking my side, and she's definitely going to be fucking wild about it. You know what I mean? Like, so, I don't know.
So that's what I appreciate about my parents. They're always like, like, I love you and I'll help you, but if you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to tell you how, how you can fix it, whether it's like compromise, communication, whatnot. And like, at the end of the day, they're like, we'll tell you our opinion, but you date who you love. If it works for you, it works for you. And they just kind of let me make mistakes. And I think that was really helpful because like, the more they would say, this person's no good for you, the harder I tried to prove them wrong. And I don't know why, but like at 20 years old, sometimes our psyche works like that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And real quick to address Zombie in the chat, we're talking about his actions we're talking about his actions while they were in active relationship and both of them were alive. We're not talking about his actions after the fact. Like I just took the time to explain, GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. We love the platform I love the good they did with the tragedy they faced. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, no, we're just hypothesizing about maybe the dynamic before all this.
Yeah. What it was like and why those two families might not like each other.
Mm-hmm.
They do seem dramatically different. Like, those are two very different families. I don't think anybody can disagree on that, right?
Yeah. And everyone, respectively, is raised different and have different... Some people are mama's boys and daddy's boys and nobody's boy, and it's all different.
Yeah. Jameson says he's heard things that he doesn't want to necessarily get into, but that he's not a big fan of the Petito family.
Well, I would love you to get into it.
I wish you could. Yeah. I'd love to know.
Please, Jameson, feed my sponge.
Because I just can't shake a dad being that shitty all the time to, like, new boyfriends and shit. That just, I don't know. I've been with princesses like that. Normally I end up being friends with that dad, but boy, does that take some fucking, you kind of have, it's normally the kind of dad you have to be like, hey, shut the fuck up. And he's like, I like this guy. And I'm like,
yeah, like all of a sudden, like, I respect you now.
You have to kind of, there's a social dynamic he's throwing at you, and if you don't respond right, he's going to punk you out, as they would say. And fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not locked in here with you, bitch. It's the other way around. I'm the crazy one. I'm also a dad, so I'm like, I kind of get, I've also been the dad that's like, I've also been the big brother, that's like, who the fuck is this? But normally I fuck with, I don't know, I'll fuck with someone in a different way. I'm just quiet at new dudes. that my sisters bring around. I give them that Manson lamp from
They
across.
don't know who you stand.
I leave them there for fucking sometimes a year, you know? Like, I will torture a motherfucker. They're like, do you like me or not after a certain point? And I'm like, what? I mean, you're still here. You know? You're still here.
Fair enough, Jameson. Fair enough.
Yeah, that could be false conceit. Yeah, exactly. No, that'd be libelous on both sides. It'd be fucking hateful of us to do. Again, we're talking about before all the tragedy anyway. So again, if there's no legal black and white behind it.
Yeah. No, we were just kind of throwing out possibilities. But it does explain why they necessarily wouldn't want to text them back and be like, I'm not getting into this with them about why they broke up and it's Brian's fault. Maybe that's the line of thinking. That's all we were really kind of saying.
Yeah. And I will say, Erica, after talking with you about it, I'm far less suspicious of that being a thing, like running down the potentiality of like what was going through both families' minds and how they were handling it.
Mm-hmm.
And what if the energy from the text was just something that Roberta found, how do I explain this? What if just like the way she came at her, she found to be disrespectful and didn't respond because she was waiting for like a, hello, Roberta. We've been, waiting for something calm.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to decipher tone in text messages. Sometimes I take text messages wrong and they're like, oh no, I didn't mean it that way, but you can't hear tone.
Yeah, you can't hear tone. And
then after that one text or something, then they talk to their lawyer. The lawyer says, don't talk to the family, don't talk to anyone. And then even if they wanted to respond after that, it looked like they were ignoring them multiple times. It was for legal advice.
Yeah.
So it could seem like that one day they just didn't rush to answer because they didn't want to get in an argument. And then the lawyer says, oh, don't answer them at all.
Well, when you're dealing with the unimaginable too, like you're fucking gonna, all of the parts of you are going to be cranked up to 11, and you're gonna be ready to crack the world in half to find that kid, right? So like, I just can't help but to think that energy is showing up in text, and Roberta's just sitting there sick. Like, they said they broke up. Calm down. I'm not even gonna respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm kind of like that. Like if I'm chronically ill, if I get like a big long crazy thing or like a big weird thing, and it's like sometimes just fucking I won't read it. I'm like, no, I don't have the time for this. I'll respond. It's not that I'm mad or it upset me. I'm like, I just don't have the emotional space for whatever this is, this input right now.
Yes, Vicky has a good point in the comments.
Oh.
Yes. I would be afraid to talk to that dad if I was dating his kids.
Yeah.
Vicky says the way he claimed he tried to intimidate her dates was odd parenting, in my opinion. But the reaction of Brian's family after finding out Gabby was missing looked like odd parenting also.
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, everybody was just looking out for their own kid, and there's nothing really wrong with that.
No. On both sides, I mean, they both handled it the way they were going to handle it. There's nothing, that's just two very different groups of East Coast parents. You know what I mean? Just a good example of kind of two different character types I've met, the parents I've met. I was in a band for a long time with an East Coast family I love. I believe they were from Jersey originally, but owned a bar in like New York for a long time before they moved to the Ozarks. And boy, they were cool as shit. But I can't help but think that maybe they would handle things more like the Laundries as opposed to the Petitos. I also have known East Coast families that would handle things more like the Petitos, where the dad is very machismo and loud, and
You know what I find interesting is, like, in the beginning it was Joe Petito was talking a lot, right? And then any press after that, they nominated like the stepdad to do the talking. I wonder if the lawyer was like, hey, you're coming off like abrasive or something, or he was just too damn angry to talk. But they let him do the talking for almost all of it. Did you notice that?
I wonder how much of Gabby's friend circle knew that she preferred the stepdad.
Ooh.
Just speculation. And that would have come out. That, like, they didn't even fucking like each other. She had problems with her dad, because it was shortly after that he released to the press, like, I just moved to Florida to be closer to her. Because our relationship was strained. Which read to me, because I'm a cunt.
I mean, he is divorced.
Yeah.
His wife, very, very quiet looking.
Yeah, I consider myself an expert on the subject of cunts being one. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I am about it. Like, we know our brood. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just reads kind of like a asshole. And, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I get why any boyfriend would also have an issue wanting to be around that fool. And I saw Lux in the chat dropping the website link. Any new viewers, I want to remind everybody that we have an open Discord if you'd like to be on the show and come talk and give your opinions too. I'd love to see you and hear from you. We now have an open call-in line if you'd like to just briefly call into the show with a thought, opinion, or question. You can call. But Lux, today might be a big life day. You better be on the phone. Just kidding. We hopefully have some cool behind the scenes shit happening for Lux. Everyone, big energy at Lux. She got nothing but good shit happening. The mob mentality these days would probably have me seeking legal counsel before I utter a word also, says Vicky. Yeah, you know, in the mob mentality did nothing but prove the Laundrie's right in their ideology, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, since when did taking legal advice by not speaking become friggin' guilty?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Lux is still waiting, but thank you. Oh.
I don't know.
No, I agree with that. Oh, hold on, my video card went all crazy.
Because anything and everything they said, it still would have been people out there. I guarantee it still would have been people outside their house flipping their shit.
Yeah, really, no matter how they handled it. I think even if Bertolino would have been out there, I think Bertolino should have been out there fighting them. I think he could have at least pulled that radius back a little bit over fear of legal action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll have you all fucking sued for libel. Because he knew it was from the jump. Like, that's what drives me nuts about Bertolino in particular, is like, I just feel like he mishandled the situation because he was a little bit in over his head and it probably showed up quick. He made it out like, I'm just their fucking friend. Like, it's exactly as we've been speculating. He's like, I'm just their friend. I'm my cousin Stevie, dude. Like, I've known Brian since he was an infant. I'm emotionally involved, and in my opinion, that he shouldn't have even touched the situation. He should have been like, I know somebody. Hold on, let me call my criminal defense friend, which I guarantee he knows a criminal defense friend.
Well, he did. He said he did call someone to get advice.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah. Well, he fucking still. Oof.
He didn't say, he didn't say who, but he was like, I called.
Yeah.
Someone reputable and got advice, and then I went forward from there. That's all he really said, but it's not like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Debbie, to answer you real quick, that timeline's a little closer than you think. Why didn't the Laundries answer the Petitos? It's kind of what we're actually talking about. There's a lot of different reasons, and it's only a matter of a couple of days. The confirmed first contact is apparently Joe Petito showing up potentially hot-headed at the front door on the 12th. The first confirmed text that I've found to the Laundries from the Petitos was September 14th. And I believe Brian was already dead or dying by then. So I don't think there's enough of an actual time frame. Again, when the Laundries would have found out would have been somewhere between the 8th and then the day that Brian died. So we're talking about a very small window. And when you're juggling all of these potential social things on the Laundrie's end, I just don't see...
Yeah, that's like 4 days.
Yeah, I just don't see... I can see it happening where there's just no contact. Again, if somebody comes at me hot after somebody breaks up and they can't find Gabby, maybe Roberta, and as horrible as this sound, maybe Roberta asked Brian, hey, you heard from Gabby, and Brian probably said something hateful, like, she's probably blah, blah, blah. And Roberta said, enough said. Threw it out, didn't respond. Well, I'm not going to repeat the hateful shit my son said to this woman, but I'm going to believe it.
Or like, don't talk to them because they're going to tell you her side of the story, or they're going to blame it all on me.
Or maybe every time she brought it up to Brian, he fucking cried and became uncontrollable. Maybe he became inconsolable every time she brought up. So she just didn't go there. She did. She's like, I'm sure she'll turn back up. Which...
Yeah, you could have said she broke up with me, told me to fuck off, and I don't know where she went.
Yeah, and the amount of times I've heard stories go, you know, into the realm of missing persons, all really going back to somebody saying, oh, well, I'm sure she'll just turn up, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems to happen a lot. It's a common thought. When things go missing, I'm sure it'll turn up. I'm sure she'll turn back up. I'm sure Brian probably said something like that. Like, I'm sure she'll turn back up. Lying. You know.
Or easily. He could have said, we have no service out there, so that's probably why they can't get a hold of her.
Exactly.
I don't believe that.
There you go. It's because she's out of cell range. She'll be back in cell range whenever. There you go. Yeah. Erica, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty easy. Why would I question that? Why would I be like, that seems shady? I'd be like, yeah, that's reasonable, because you tried to call me here, and here, and you did have shit service. So yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah.
No, Jameson, they would have nicknamed me Bulldog Bertolino if I was in his shoes. I would have been outside that fucking house fucking barking at people.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that your job, is to defend your client?
Goddamn right it is, and I would be doing it to the fucking cameras to the craziest degree. I would be matching Molly Golightly's energy, but you dropping fucking legal bombs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be fucking throwing liable grenades, dude. It'd be on like Donkey Kong. I see. If I was in that mode, in that profession, I'd see that as a fucking battlefield that I had fucking armor on, and those fuckers were just peasants with pitchforks. You know, like, nope.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
He did kind of go down that avenue too, because like he was like, well, stupid media people, you know, the police led you to believe we weren't cooperating and blah blah blah, but that's not true. Like, he called them out.
And fucking rightfully fucking so. Yep. That fucking, they're not cooperating, and then he's there for 3 hours during a search, and everyone's like, well, that's suspicious. And I'm like, well, what can he do? If he searches, he's suspicious. If he doesn't do anything, he's suspicious. If he gardens, he's suspicious. If he buys groceries, he's suspicious. Like,
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Stanody says it's really crazy how avoidable this whole situation would have been if Moab police did their job.
No, well, he's talking all the way back to just detaining them. Like, maybe they would have hooked back up, and maybe it would have happened somewhere else that was like more visible, and maybe it would have been a blow up that happened in public or in a public campground where maybe Brian could have been detained immediately, alive, and we could get the story. I kind of see where Stanody's coming from. Like, the alternate universe version of this is actually like, if the Moab police would have just held them both for a minimum of 8 hours, which in my opinion they had the legal justification to do, we would have had a different story.
Like, usually that's not enough. They get back together, they continue on with what they're doing, and it's just like, the cycle begins again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they would have continued being
No.
I definitely think they would have continued being an Ouroboros of toxicity that viewed itself as a yin yang. But
However, I will say, if the parents were called to like bond them out, they would have stopped that shit in its tracks.
well, there would have been intervention, and here's the most important thing: maybe if there was an incident where one of them died, it would have happened with people around. You know, the terrifying thing about this is the amount of eyes that weren't on either of them, but could have been. You know, they were a few moments away from going to a much more populated area to camp. They were a few moments away from, if they would have just been held for 8 hours, like you said, the parents could have been involved and had more contact, known there were issues in the relationship, maybe urged one of them to call it off. You know, threatened to take a trust fund or something.
Maybe he has rage issues.
Yeah.
I didn't see that I don't see that fact that he has rage issues anywhere, honey. I think we're assuming.
Oh, that he's got rage issues?
Yeah, Sunbeam says, when your 23-year-old weirdo son with known rage issues returns home after body cam footage comes out of an obvious domestic violence situation, and Petito's pounding on your door, so they buy a camper for a truck and go camping. I think they already had the camper.
Yeah.
They were going to go the first to the third.
Yeah.
And they came home and they said, all right, well, we'll just move it out.
To the 6th to the 8th. Yeah. No, we've kind of...
I don't see no doctors said he has rage issues. Like, nobody said he had rage issues. Like, did they improve?
Yeah, no, he's not been open. They haven't announced any diagnoses he might have had. Like, he made a thing about autism burnout, but we don't know he was autistic. We have speculation from people that knew him, particularly the friend Rose, who says that he had episodes.
Okay, Debbie said, it was said on Fox News that the dentist that said the skull is Brian's is actually Brian's skull, and there is no DNA evidence to prove otherwise.
Well, no, they haven't had time to pull back DNA yet. They haven't. That's still being analyzed, I'm sure. I'm sure they are running DNA, but a dental analysis, they're not. How are you going to... I mean, I don't think there's conspiracy there.
Sunbeam, the camper was newly bought, but it was bought before Brian came back.
Yeah, that was their... They had already planned that well out. They had put a deposit on it, I think, that tracks back even further back than that. Like...
Yeah.
There's nothing suspicious about the RV. That's just a retiree purchase, dude. They're just old Floridians. They used to live in Jersey, and now they live in Florida, and they want to travel around and camp, but they don't want to do it in tents. That's why they bought that. There's the motive there that we've been able to kind of unravel. And we know this too because the feds were up in it. We saw that happen live on air, right? Were you guys all here for that when we watched the feds crawl into the back of the camper and fucking flashlight around a little bit?
Yeah.
Brian in here. He wasn't in there. There wasn't any. I don't think they got anything out of there. I was speculating wildly about a cooler that day, but I think that cooler was actually that lady's lunch, is what it turned out to be. So, hey, sometimes you go fishing, sometimes you catch a boot. Sometimes it's brought to you by Warner Brothers. It's just how it goes.
Fair enough. Sunbeam said, just with everything we can piece together points to that never said it was fact. No, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I hear you.
For sure.
I mean, I can surmise that he had anger issues, but I don't know that for a fact. But yeah, we can
I'm taking that. Yeah, I'm taking that by his account and just his friend's account. They say he had and that he's the only suspect in a second-degree homicide.
Yep, it certainly would take rage to strangle someone to death.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't know. I've encountered people who still defend Ted Bundy. Like Ted Bundy didn't do nothing. Wasn't guilty of something.
Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Master manipulator.
I mean,
100%.
he took people to bodies. Like, you don't know that shit unless you're guilty of something.
Sweet cheese.
Oof. Trying to get into the mindset of the parents when their son returned home. Yeah, that's the thing is like, even if he has anger issues, you just don't assume he killed somebody. Has he killed someone before? Why would you assume that? Like, if somebody was to ask me that, well, did you assume that your son had killed if my son had killed somebody? I'd be like, well, bitch, no. Like, would you? Like, well, he killed cats as a child. Like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Somebody might be suggesting that, like, the parents know that they got in physical fights, though. You know, who knows? Who knows? Let's see. He was the mastermind.
Cats, you knew they verbally argued a lot.
I mean, he seems like the kind of boy that would be like, oh, mom, she's at it again, she's crazy.
Yep.
You know, and she seems like she didn't tell them anything. So
Yeah.
she didn't have anyone except for Rose to really vent it to.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch of Brian and Gabby's. Like, that's, you know, Zimmy and I's main, like, fucking demographic and like to play music to. And I've just seen a lot of that couple leaving clubs in, like, obvious toxic ways, you know? Like, ugh. It is reasonable to argue that cops used Ted Bundy to cross off cold cases. He was still a serial killer. Yeah! There you go, Jameson. I like that.
We should get on Ted Bundy.
I'm into that. True Crime Tuesday's coming up. And Brian Laundrie has died down, and I think I've got Jelani Day and Alec Baldwin in queue for tomorrow. But we can also talk about Ted Bundy a bit.
I bet you John B knows a shit ton about Ted Bundy. I don't know why, but I bet you he does.
Yeah. Fucking know more than I should at this point. He's one of those that people have mystified in a way that it's like I had to go out of my way to break the mysticism. That's how bad the media made it. And it wasn't until you get a hold of some of the, like, tapes of this dude being like a true fucking weird narcissist. Like, and he is like the only example, in my opinion, too, of like a narcissist with not just like narcissistic personality disorder, but somebody with like a clear, like an obvious, like, but there's a clear connection between, like, I don't know, he's the only justification for narcissists don't kill themselves. He's the only serial, like, narcissist I've seen, like, detained that, like, went out of his way to protect his own life.
Is there any mods on YouTube?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
I already got the chat pulled down off the screen, so.
Oh, I see.
What?
Bundy, yeah. Like, people who met him, though, they're like, he was charismatic, da-da-da-da. And then I have the book of the lady who worked with him at the crisis center hotline.
Yes. Ooh, tell me about that.
The stranger beside me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I haven't read that, but I've had that on my queue for a minute.
Yeah, you should definitely get it. Or I can mail it to you and you can just borrow mine.
Ooh. I'm gonna try to get it. I've been looking for that Audible. I've been wanting that dope. Ooh,
Like, he didn't really start his like crazy antics until the police were there. So I think that was all him putting on a show. because nobody was of the wiser, like, while he was currently out killing people. Everyone just thought he was this awesome person.
Yeah.
Charismatic, cool, all this nonsense, but like he was sneaky with that shit, you know?
He was hella sneaky with it. He, ooh, hold on. Boom.
I hope they studied his brain.
He's one of those that's like, yeah, it kind of sucks that they ended up killing him the way they killed him, because wasn't he one of the last, was that a, boom. Was he a,
Yeah.
was he,
Electric chair.
yeah, wasn't he electric chair? Like,
Yeah, in Florida, but they don't do that no more.
I know, and you could have kept some of that gray matter, baby.
Ain't no looking at it now.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I know. The chat was down for a second. I think we back now, baby.
Okay. I'm not a mod on this, so I was like,
Oh shit, I need to make you one.
I'm like, hey now.
I need to make you one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, I mean, not really messed up. It's the internet's MO.
Yeah, people are so angry.
You know, that's what happens.
Chill out, have a conversation, agree to disagree. It's all good.
Oh yeah.
You know? Follow
Well,
the rules.
here's a specific case where we caught an actual troll, like, in action. But, you know, be mad if you want.
Dang.
Yeah. Oh man. But okay.
For the swing shift.
Well, see, for the swing shift today, I've been taking stuff over to Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do today. I've fucked around with the Music Monday, where I make some music live on air. And maybe get you guys to give some input on it.
Yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
they want to do.
Sunbeam asked, quick question for you. Did everybody watch the entire Bertolino interview? If so, did it change your thoughts on the case? Yes and yes.
I was going to say which one. I watched a couple.
We watched the full 20-minute first interview he ever did with, I think it was an NBC affiliate. Maybe it was CNN. Where he kind of goes off on the lady. He goes, full my cousin Stevie.
Yes, because he said, this is my first interview since this all went down, and so I'm sorry if I'm aggressive with you. He apologized to her at the end. But then the next time they interview, he goes off on her again, and he gets pissed.
Straight up.
She kept us under a couple of lies about when he contacted the police saying Brian was missing, and like it's a shit show. If you want to put that on, you could watch it.
Yeah, we can throw that interview on.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Let me see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, see here. Well,
Let's see. I felt bad for her, but she handled herself really well.
yeah. What I've got pulled up right now is just the interview from, I think this morning, where they're just kind of talking about the forensic anthropologist to explain Brian Laundrie's remains. And it's like, yeah,
With the guy.
yeah.
I'm looking for the second Ashley Banfield one. That I believe was on Saturday or Friday. So I tried to watch it up north, but I didn't have very good service in Vermont. Let's see. News Nation, I think, Ashley. There she is.
Yeah. The second one was more revealing when they ambushed him with Brian Hinton. Okay.
There it is. All right, put in Ashley Banfield, and then it will say 2 days ago. News Nation.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
I'm not good at sending links. I'm still learning with all this stuff.
Hey, no, you're fine. I'll
Yeah,
take
it's the first
that.
one that comes up.
Ashley Banfield and Bertolino. Ooh. All right, let's throw this sucker on.
It's so good.
Banfield tonight.
Welcome to Banfield. When the manhunt for Brian Laundrie ended, a whole new chapter in this saga began. The questions that
Am I
have been
echoing
so
too bad in the
confounding.
Discord,
Why
Erica?
did Brian leave his fiancée in Wyoming? What was his state of mind before he left home from reserve? And what, if any, role did he play?
What did you say?
Am I echoing too bad on Discord with this
Fortunately, I'm
interview?
joined by the man who has a lot of those answers,
No.
possibly. The attorney for the Laundrie family, Stephen P. Bertolino. Mr. Bertolino, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you've known the family for decades, so this is an emotional time for them, probably for you as a friend. But you're also, their attorney. So I'm very thankful that you're here to answer questions on their behalf. And I'd like to just start with the simple.
It looks long, but it's a
When
long.
did
We
you
got a
become
long show,
involved
baby.
with the Laundrie family as their attorney pertaining to this particular case?
Yes, good evening, Ashley. Thank you for having me. I would say that was on September 11th.
So you didn't speak with Brian or Roberta or Chris between September 1st, when he arrived back in Florida, and September 11th, 10 days later?
I can tell you I didn't say that, but I can tell you is any conversations I had with Brian, Chris, and Roberta would be privileged and confidential. What you asked me was when did I become involved for this particular case, and it was on September 11th.
So then presumably before September 11th, if you had conversations with them, say September 1st to September 11th, those 10 days, those would not be privileged because you hadn't been retained as counsel?
Well, that's not true either, because I've been the Laundrie family attorney for well over 20 years. So any conversations I have with them with respect to legal matters would be privileged and confidential.
So when Brian came home,
They
to
call me for legal
North
advice.
on
They
the
keep a
first,
dollar
as
in my
a credit
pocket.
card reader, a license plate reader, seeing the white
Word.
man coming home. How did you have your first engagement with the family? Was it a family meeting? Was it a conference call? Like, how did you first connect with them after he had returned?
Again, any conversation I've had with Chris, Roberta, and Brian, with by telephone, but the dates and what we discussed are all attorney-client privileged and confidential. And I'm sorry to say that I can't speak about those things.
Counselor, I fully understand that you cannot reveal those privileged engagements, the content within. I'm just sort of going around the contours of it, if you'd allow me to. And that is that I'm just curious about, because you're, as I understand it, I'm talking to you in Long Island, correct?
That's correct.
And the Laundries have always been in Northport.
No, they haven't always been in Northport. They lived on Long Island for many years. I don't know exactly how many years they've moved down to Florida.
Sure.
But,
Understand. I just mean for the purpose of this particular engagement, say from September 1st on, you did not go to.
Let me know if anyone else is keeping
to
up with the
engage
Summer
with them.
Wells
You
case.
really had to
Vicky,
do
I'm
it.
interested to know too.
That's correct. Everything has been, by telephone, text message, or how should we say, FaceTime.
Or sort of these group Zooms. Did you have like the family, group FaceTime or the group Zoom like this?
No, we didn't. We didn't do something like that.
Conference calls?
We've had a couple of conference calls, yes.
And when you have the conference calls, I mean, I'm just thinking of myself as a mother. And if my son were, engaging with our attorney, it would be difficult. And I was curious about how Mrs. Laundrie's reactions were, how she was digesting. And again, you don't have to tell me what you were discussing. I understand that's privilege. But just the reaction, the nature, and the sort of taking all of the information in real time. How did she manage that?
Ashley, I don't want to give you an interview where I can't answer any of your questions, but, it seems like most of the questions you're asking are going to border on the attorney-client confidentiality that I can't answer. If you're asking me, in general, what has been Roberta Laundrie's demeanor and disposition over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I can tell you she's been very upset. She's again been distraught, and in the last couple of days she's grieving.
Fully understand. And again, I'm not going to press you on what was said. I'm, again, trying to go around the outside as best I can to get
No, I believe it gets really good.
the color, the essence, and the feel of what the family was going through in those early days between September 1st and September 11th, when Gabby Petito was declared missing. And even thereafter, up until the 13th, when Brian himself left for the hike and didn't come back. I guess all I'm trying to get a feel for is the family meeting with you. Were can I put it this way? When you had the family meeting with them via electronics, was it a happy occasion?
You know, often I tell people as an attorney, you get to deal with them on happy occasions. So, you know, you're using the term happy that I would never use. What I can tell you is every conversation's been serious. Every conversation that I've had, as any attorney would have with their client, doesn't necessarily border on happy. And I don't need to beat you up on the use of that word. But what I can tell you is I'm at liberty to discuss anything prior to September 11th. You can ask me many different ways, but I'm going to keep giving you the
Eric,
same
you got to
answer.
make you a mod.
All of that is going
All
to
right.
be attorney-client privilege. Anything after
Without
September 11th,
divulging, sure, without divulging anything they said, were they at least all three of them, able to engage with you and fill you in on their perspectives of anything that you were discussing?
on September 12th and September 13th, yes, absolutely.
All three of them could fill you in on how things were going within the household. Your discussion as a group was full and rich, and you could get a feel for what was happening in that household through your conversation with the three of them.
I had private conversations with Brian, I had private conversations with Chris, and I had private conversations with Chris and Roberta separately. I can tell you that, I had an understanding of how the house was functioning at that point in time.
Oh, word.
But you didn't have the family together, the family unit together to find out how they were coping as a unit.
There were a couple of conversations where, all, three members of the family in that household were together, yes.
Okay. So presumably, and what days were those conversations? Because, the mood and the change in what happened in the dynamic of that family is important. What days did you have those conversations where you knew how all three of them were feeling at the same time?
I would say Sunday the 12th and Monday the 13th.
So those are critical days. Can you tell me the demeanor of Brian Laundrie on the 12th and on the 13th? And when I ask you about demeanor, I'd like to get specific. Did he seem suicidal?
No. And I literally just spoke to the family, Chris and Roberta, maybe 45 minutes ago. And, we repeated this conversation or that question. And, Brian was not, outwardly suicidal. And what Mrs. Laundrie, what Roberta just said to me, she goes, how do you really know, what do you really know what somebody's thinking? And, we can suspect what their mood might be, but what do you really know what's going on inside? And I can tell you that, Brian was alert, he was coherent. When he was speaking with me, I had no inclination.
That fits our timeline of him leaving the 13th and passing away at the end of the day.
I have heard you say on other interviews just in the last 24 hours that he was grieving. And anyone who is grieving is sad over death. Was he sad over the death of Gabby Petito when he was grieving prior to going out on his hike, from which he did not return?
And Ashley, as I've said, all day long, because I know I've been getting heat on the use of that word. Yesterday was a very long day. The day before that was a long day. One of the last interviews I gave of the evening, which was a last minute thing, I used the word grieving, which I had been using all day long with respect to Chris and Roberta and the news of the death of their son. I clarified that. I said he was upset. He was distressed. Chris described him to me as he was leaving. And this was several weeks later when Chris and I were talking about it. He said, Steve, he was upset. He was distressed. I knew I shouldn't let him walk out the door, but I couldn't stop him. I use the term grieving. It was probably a poor choice of words, and everybody has pounced on that and said, well, what was he grieving? Who was he grieving? Grieving was, used by myself multiple times yesterday with respect to Chris and Roberta, and it was a poor choice of words to be using for Brian.
So did Brian know that Gabby was dead at that point?
I can't answer that question. What Brian knew or didn't know would be privileged. It would be confidential, and certainly not something I can discuss now.
And respectfully, Counselor, I understand your privilege, but as a journalist, I do have to.
What do you guys
ask, did
think?
Brian
That
kill
means
Gabby?
they know?
That's it's a tough question to answer. Other than no, to my knowledge, I can't say that he did or didn't. I'm sure the FBI may be able to fill those answers in at a different time.
Do Chris and Roberta Laundrie know if their son killed Gabby?
I can't comment on that either. I mean, what Brian told, when I say I can't comment, you're asking me what the parents knew, what their son told them. I do not know.
You have mentioned in other interviews that there will be time as we move ahead in this story for more questions to be answered, perhaps more secrets to be revealed. Clearly, there's no exposure for the youngest member of the family that you represent. He is no longer, he can no longer be tried for anything, even posthumously. So there's zero exposure other than legacy for Brian Laundrie. For that reason, how long will it be until you can actually tell us these things?
As I said, there are some unanswered questions. There are some issues that need to be resolved. There are, charges out there still in Wyoming. There are certain things that I even discussed with the FBI today with respect to Chris and Roberta that still have to be resolved. There's been a lot of accusations. There's been a lot of finger pointing, and those issues will be resolved in the coming days, weeks, or months, however long it takes. This is just wrapping up in the last 48 to 72 hours, and we're going to need some more time to work through this.
Mr. Bertolino, what do you expect is going to be found in the notebook? Because the Northport police are saying that it is indeed salvageable.
I have no idea what's in the notebook. To my knowledge, the notebook was something that was maybe on the trip. I've heard many different things about this notebook. I don't know if Brian wrote a suicide note or if he wrote a goodbye note. I don't know if it was just a notebook that contained drawings. We'll have to wait and see what's in there.
Mr. Bertolino, is it possible we might see a confession in that notebook?
Again, Ashley, I don't know what's in the notebook. The FBI may disclose what they find in there. They may not.
You are one of the last 3 people who spoke with him prior to him leaving with that notebook and a backpack and a dry bag. Based on his demeanor, and I'm not asking you to reveal what he said, based on his demeanor, would it surprise you if there were a confession in that notebook?
After the way this case is played out, I don't think anything would surprise me. At this point, even the fact that the Laundries, Chris and Roberta, are the ones who happen to find the item, the location of the remains. Everybody seems to be suspect on that. There have been so many twists and turns in this saga. I don't think anything would surprise me.
Do I take that as a no? It would not surprise you if there were a confession in that notebook?
I'll stick by my original comment, which is, nothing's going to surprise me in this case.
You may be bolstered to know that the Northport police back up this notion that Chris and Roberta simply stumbled upon the dry bag and the notebook within about a 30 to 45 minute walk, whereby the authorities and millions of dollars of the highest tech equipment could do nothing of the sort in 38 days. For the public, it's confounding, and you have to respect just how the magnitude of the coincidence. The Northport police is saying it's also coincidental. But do you know any other information that would prove otherwise, that it is not coincidental?
You know, literally before this interview, I was on the phone with somebody who, has more information about that than I do. The cameraman that was there that filmed this, I have thanked the police for being there. I have thanked the cameraman for being there. And yeah, I do understand that the public says this is confounding. It's unbelievable. But everybody who's been there and everybody who has firsthand knowledge comes back and says the same thing. This is the beginning of the beginning of the preserve. This is where Brian was known to hike. If he went into that preserve and did something to hurt himself.
Welcome, Christy.
And maybe he
How are you feeling,
away,
Christy?
It would
Hope
be
you're feeling okay.
expected
Hope
that
it's
he would
better.
be found there. So, as coincidental as you say it is, it really is not such a far stretch to say that if Brian did in fact go to the preserve to hurt himself, and he did it right away, it makes perfect sense that that's where it is. The park was underwater. I'm sorry?
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know if he took any kind of medications out with him in the backpack or in the dry bag that might have contained any sort of substances that would have helped him in a quest to commit suicide?
I have no knowledge of any substances whatsoever, either prescribed or otherwise.
Do you have any knowledge of the contents of the dry bag or the backpack?
Not at all. And, to my understanding, the parents, Chris and Roberta, didn't know what was in the backpack.
Oh, I'm sorry, your little one is sick.
believe
That
you were asked that
sucks.
question on September 17th. Chris and Roberta said they didn't know what he put in the backpack. He just, had the backpack packed and said, I'm going out for a hike.
To that end, I want to talk a little bit about the timing of all of it, because the press sort of, felt a little yanked around, as did the police, with the timing of when, Brian went on his hike. Originally it was Tuesday the 14th, and then late into this whole ordeal, it became Monday. I heard you speak on Chris Cuomo's program the other day, suggesting that you, in fact, were the person to call the FBI and notify them the next day after he didn't return, which would be Tuesday, correct?
So it is correct that I notified the FBI, and you'll have to forgive me because the days were blending together, and I spoke to the FBI just today on that issue again, and the FBI confirmed it is well documented on their side that it was Thursday, and I was reminded that I specifically said, Brian didn't come home tonight. Would you come home? Having all the press and everything else going on out there. The confusion initially was Chris and Roberta were telling me it was Tuesday, and Tuesday night Chris went out to look for him. It was Wednesday that Chris and Roberta went to look and hiked a little bit in the preserve, and it was Thursday that they retrieved the car. We then received some information from press that indicated that they had video of the car in the driveway on Wednesday. So we had to go back with Chris and Roberta step by step of each day. They had been in their home every day. The days were blending together. It was very stressful. And when we went through the period and I showed them the video clip of the Mustang on I believe it was the 15th in the driveway, Chris said to me, well, then it had to be Monday. And I went back to the FBI, and the FBI said, yes, we believed it was Monday from the beginning, but we do understand that the days were blending together. So as I said,
this is my problem. The days blending together, and I only interrupt because I'm a mother of boys, and if my son had unexpectedly come home from a trip without his fiance, stopped talking, refused to speak to police, she's reported missing. He is, in your, as you said, mistaken characterization, grieving. I mean, that tells me that he is apoplectically sad. As you mischaracterized it as grieving, it is at the very least horrifically sad. And he walks out my door and doesn't come home. I do not forget that date. That date is etched in my mind as a mother, and I dare say that my children's father would feel exactly the same way.
Of course, Christy, we love you. I
struggle
hope you
with
get to
any
feeling
mistake
better. I
about
hope your
what
little
day
one gets to
my
feeling better.
extremely distraught son went out on a hike and didn't come home.
and that may be true, for everyone. But I would also tend to bet that you haven't been in the position that the Laundries have been put in in the last 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. And in that week in particular, they were in the house every day. They were going through it. I was relying on the communication they had, but there was no doubt in my mind that I was the one that called the FBI. And, I've had multiple conversations with the FBI, initially. And I even said to the FBI, I said, I know I told you that the night of or the morning after.
Vicky, that's crazy.
So I was even hedging my comments because I didn't know in which conversation I had informed them. Was it the night of or was it the morning after? And ultimately, in conjunction with the FBI, we all agreed that it was Monday the 13th. The proof is in the pudding, if you will. In this case, the reporter showed me that the vehicle was in the driveway on the 15th. The FBI was, saying from the beginning of our conversations with them that it was the 13th. So when we put the sequence of events together, it was the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
And our Brian Enton asked Josh Taylor of the Northport Police about all of this timeline, and specifically your contention that you notified the FBI that Brian was missing the day after he didn't come home. And I'm just going to ask our control room to play what the Northport Police said today about that to Brian Enton. It was Josh on Brian being reported missing. It's not a flattering depiction of you, and they're flat out saying it's not true. So let me just play this moment for you, and I get you to comment on the other side.
Mr. Bertolino says that he called and reported Brian missing sooner than Friday. It was just the official report filed on Friday. Is that true?
I can tell you that the Northport Police Department, that when we got the call on Friday that he was being reported missing, was news to us. I was in the room myself. It was a very surprising moment. I can say that with 100% certainty. Whatever he may have said in passing, this is a situation where we're trying to, they were uncooperative on Saturday, not revealing any details. We got a missing young lady. Really, their credibility was, what's going on there. If I'm understanding him correctly, he says that he may have said something to someone in the FBI. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. What I know is that none of our actions and what we've said show that that's a possibility at all.
So, Mr. Bertolino, they say the police and the FBI have been in lockstep all the way through this, and that they would have known had you reported it to the FBI. How do you respond?
Christy, the DNA hasn't come back yet on the skull.
What I just heard, if you listen closely, is that the Northport Police Josh Taylor, I believe. I don't want to get his name wrong. Is it Mr. Taylor?
Correct.
Okay. So what Mr. Taylor just said was that I purportedly reported it to the FBI. He doesn't know. And therein is your answer. He does not know. I can tell you that the FBI does not have a problem with this. Today at 2 p.m., 2:15, I had a meeting with two representatives from the FBI in my office, and they once
it is hella interesting.
Confirmed there is absolutely no doubt that I informed the FBI that Brian didn't come home on day one. Let me tell you something else, Ashley, before you interrupt me again. I did not call anybody on Friday. I heard Mr. Taylor's press conference on Thursday. On Thursday, Mr. Taylor said, when asked a question, do you know where Brian is? He said yes. He was asked a question a little bit later in that same presser, do you know exactly where he is? He said yes. I was shocked. I immediately called my client and said, do you know where Brian is? Because we haven't seen him. Was he picked up? Because if he was picked up by the PD, they would have to inform me. And they said no. At that point, I'll disclose this. I reached out to somebody in the afternoon and I got an ethical opinion as an attorney for Brian Laundrie as a missing person, perhaps. What could I do? Once I received that ethical advice, if you will, decisions were made between me and Chris and Roberta. With that knowledge, Friday came. Friday evening, somewhere around 4:45, I received the call from the FBI. Let me be perfectly clear, unequivocally. I received the call from the FBI. I did not call them. It came up on the screen in my truck. I told my daughter she needed to leave the truck. The FBI said to me, we got a tip that Brian was seen in Tampa. And I said, that's wonderful, because as you know, we haven't seen him all week. We told you he was missing. And the FBI agent said, yes, we know that, but we want to come to the house to see if he's there. And I said, well, who gave you the tip? Who said this? Because I thought it was a ruse for the FBI to get into the house, was my belief. I then said to my daughter that I need to take care of this, and I told the FBI that I needed to take care of something with my daughter. We agreed on a time for 6:15. At 6:15, the FBI came to the Laundrie residence on the 17th. They came inside, we had discussions. I was here in New York, and on FaceTime with them, we agreed that the best course of action and the formal procedural course of action would be to file a missing persons report so that Brian could be located.
I think he should do all the
peacefully,
interviews
so
with
the
twice this
resources
much
into
energy,
locating
by the
him.
way. I think he is aggressive. I agree with everybody saying he's aggressive.
Someone from the
But I think
Laundrie
he should have been doing
family
this a long time
household,
ago.
and it wasn't Chris and Roberta, must have got the paperwork, pulled it in, got some kind of case number. Whatever they did, I don't know. But that's how it played out. And the FBI...
Was that Cassie?
Excuse me?
Was that Cassie who did that?
Cassie was not in the household at all. It was Chris, Roberta, there was a representative, there was two representatives, I believe, from Northport PD. There was a representative from the FBI and myself on FaceTime. For 2.5 hours, we gave the FBI all the information we had with respect to Brian. The FBI has never had an issue with this. And if you listen closely to that clip that you just played, you will hear Josh Taylor say, Mr. Bertolino or the attorney may have told the FBI, I don't know. And here's the issue.
Oh, he gets spicier?
On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, nobody
Yeah,
from the
spicy,
FBI
yes.
called me and said, have you seen Brian? On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I did not reach out to the FBI and say, we haven't seen Brian. Because quite frankly, we didn't think he was, quote, missing. He went out for a hike. Brian had packed a bag. He routinely went for hikes for days. And it wasn't thought of that he was missing until Wednesday or Thursday, we started wondering, what do we do? And then Thursday, the events unfolded I just told you about. And then Friday, the events turned around with the FBI coming to the home. That's how it played out.
And so you're, just to be clear on this, because it's not, you
She gets
talked
him
to the
good.
FBI and said Brian hasn't returned on Tuesday,
No, I didn't say that. I said,
Wednesday?
no, I didn't say that either. I said on Monday when I reported to the FBI that Brian didn't return home, the next
No,
time...
wait, hold it. Monday, he went on the walk.
That's correct. And he never returned
And you're
home.
saying Monday night, you made a reference to him not returning home, or was it the next day you told the FBI?
What I said to you was that I had multiple conversations with the FBI during, Monday and Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I did not recall whether I mentioned it to the FBI on Monday night or Tuesday morning. The FBI confirmed with me that their records reflected that it was Monday night.
So you were talking to the FBI on Sunday, even before he went for the walk. And you were talking to them on Monday before he went for the walk. And you talked to them on Monday after he went for the walk?
Okay, actually, you're bringing multiple issues together.
I'm trying to get clarity, that's all. Just details matter on this one.
Laundrie.
On Saturday evening into Sunday morning, at 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night, I got the first phone call regarding this matter. At 1:30 in the morning on Sunday, the first phone call from the FBI on this matter. At 8 a.m. on Sunday was the next phone call from the FBI on this matter. It was a different agent. It was on the initial introduction, if you will, of this case. On Monday, 2 FBI agents came to my office to introduce themselves and to discuss this case. On Monday evening, and or in my recollection, Tuesday morning, I reported to
I would
the
too,
FBI
Vicky. I want to see him in a courtroom.
that Brian didn't return. Upon going back and forth with the FBI on the actual conversation in which that was reported, the FBI confirms that it was Monday the 13th that their records reflect that I told them that Brian didn't come home that night. On Tuesday,
Now that I have that,
no, hold on.
I was just going to say,
On clarity.
Yep.
On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there was zero communication with respect to where is Brian between me and the FBI and myself.
it's all just surprising because Josh Taylor said today they were in lockstep with the FBI all the way along. Even the Northport police chief tweeted out, "Get us an interview."
No, Ashley, you are wrong.
On Wednesday.
Like,
No, that's what they told us today. That's what they told us today.
He's so
Play the clip
hostile.
you just played, and let's listen again where he says, "I do not know," because that's what
Okay.
he says. Ed.
I'm telling you,
I thought
they
you wanted
told
clarity.
Brian Enton today in a whole. It's a 15-minute interview, sir. It's a 15-minute interview, and they said that they've been operating in lockstep with the FBI all the way along.
Okay, play the clip you played a moment ago, and let's listen to him say,
Okay.
"I don't know."
You know what? We're gonna
I
wrap
thought you
that
wanted
clip up.
clarity, Ed.
We absolutely 100%. That's why you're here. 100%, and we're gonna wrap that.
Thought
clip
you
up.
wanted
It takes a minute or
clarity.
So I'm gonna go to break, get the control room to do it, and after the break, we'll play it and we'll get the clarity on that. Is that okay, Mr. Bertolino?
That's fine with me.
We are back with Stephen Bertolino, the
This is
attorney
where
for
she
the
gets
Laundrie
real.
family. And Mr.
Hell
Bertolino,
yes.
the clip that we played is a full minute long, but the person who actually conducted the interview is Brian Enton. And he has the full characterization of what the Northport police told him for 15 minutes during that interview. So I'd like to turn it over to Brian Enton for a moment to tell you exactly what they told him. Brian, Mr.
I'd very
Bertolino's
much
on
like her to
to
change my type. Says
Mr.
Spanotti.
Bertolino. I've been in touch with Mr. Bertolino for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Basically,
Ashley
Josh
Banfield
Taylor
with the
from
mommy
Police
energy,
has
dude.
said that the way he has phrased it, that they are at,
Yeah.
at the same table, sitting at the
I
same
agree.
table every day as the FBI, sharing information,
Wholeheartedly.
constant communication with each other. And I was thinking back to that week when the police chief had that press conference. On that Thursday, the police chief said that he had that he knew where Brian Laundrie was. But it wasn't just that Thursday. That almost every day when I interviewed Josh Taylor,
Even with
would
Dave,
ask him,
man.
do you
Yeah.
know where Brian Laundrie is? And he
I
would
think
say,
I
"Yes,
love her,
we
says
know where he
Spanotti.
is." So I was just listening to your conversation between the two of you, and it's just those interviews we did, and not just us, but many outlets were doing them with the police. They were on TV
Boom.
every night, and it's just hard to imagine that
Perfect.
the FBI was also watching this and had this information from Mr. Bertolino, but wasn't sharing it with Northport PD.
Good evening, Brian. How are you?
Good. Nice to hear your voice, Mr. Bertolino.
But I wasn't sure if it was.
They've been sexting.
And Brian, I concur. It would be hard to believe that, right? So 2 days ago, I had a conversation with somebody in the Northport PD to clear the air.
They've
on this
been
one.
sexting.
And I offered to put myself on speaker so that brass could hear it, so that the upper echelons could hear it, that I wasn't trying to, quote, put the Northport PD under the bus when I brought this up. They told me, in no uncertain terms, that they had no idea that the FBI knew about this. They were completely shocked on Friday to learn that Brian wasn't in the house. So, Brian, everything you say makes sense. Absolutely everything you say makes sense. But I will tell you, it is not my responsibility to communicate between the FBI and Northport PD. I can tell you once again, as sure as I am sitting here talking on this screen, the FBI confirmed in my office again today at 2:50.
You don't have a
This is a
problem.
non-issue for them. They have it documented that Brian was reported
Vicky, we
missing
can't help. She looks
by
like she
me
could swaddle
to
us.
them on Monday evening.
Ashley Banfield would be
Monday
Big
evening
Spoon.
conversation or a Tuesday morning conversation.
She'd Big Spoon
But
ya.
I know that I reported it on day one. That being said, Ashley, You told me you would replay that clip. What you chose to do was bring Brian Enton in. I would ask you respectfully, let's play the clip. Let's hear, not from Brian, let's hear from Josh Taylor once again. I can spare the minute. Let's
You got
play it.
well.
because
We've had 40 with you, but the control room is about to play it. So control room, fire away. Let's roll.
I don't know. Let's listen.
Mr. Bertolino said that he called and reported Brian missing.
Bitch got played off like the Oscars.
It's the official report filed on Friday. Is that true?
I can tell you that the Northport Police Department. That
Yeah,
we
she's
got
the
called
jetpack
on
stand
Friday
out here.
That he was being reported missing.
She might be the truth, dude. I'm into it.
I was in the room. Myself.
Hashtag Big Spoon.
A very surprising moment. I can say that with 100% certainty. Whatever he may have said in passing, this is a situation where we're trying to, they were uncooperative on Saturday, not revealing any details. We've got a missing young lady. Really, their credibility was, what's going on there. If I'm understanding him correctly, he says that he may have said something to someone in the FBI. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. What I know is that none of our actions and what we've said show that that's a possibility at all.
Do you see what they said? Nothing that they said that it's a possibility at all. I mean, did you hear that last line, Mr. Bertolino? Nothing that we've seen says that's a possibility at all.
What he said was he may have said it in passing, and then he said, I don't know. That's what he said, Ashley. I'll take
No, he
it.
said it's not a possibility at all.
No, he didn't say that. Not with regard to
Brian Enton, did he say? Yeah, I think we should get Brian Enton, and he conducted the interview. He sent us the tape. We've now played it twice. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I just had a quick question for Mr. Bertolino that I was thinking about. I mean, if he was at home watching the news all week and hearing the police say that they had eyes on Brian, and the Laundries were watching the news or were hearing from Mr. Bertolino that the police were saying that, but if they were worried about Brian and he was missing and, they wanted him to be found, like, wouldn't you want to correct the record so that people would actually be looking for Brian?
So, Brian, we're not going to get to the bottom of this. I'll get past the fact that Ashley won't concede that what was said out of Josh Taylor's own mouth was that I may have said it in passing and that he does not know. Let's move past that because the tape speaks for itself. What I will tell you, Brian, is we were not, at that moment, we were not concerned that Brian, had hurt himself or wasn't coming home. Chris and Roberta had indicated to me that Brian had gone out camping and hiking for multiple days, many, many times. He was a young man. They weren't concerned. They thought he was clearing the air, clearing his mind. It wasn't until we got the call on Friday.
Cool. I love his
voice. He was seen in Tampa that we were concerned.
And why did you report it to the FBI, Mr. Bertolino?
From Tampa.
He's an avid hiker and camper. Why were you calling or talking to him on Monday night or Tuesday morning?
Fuck
saying,
yeah.
Yikes, he hasn't come home. Why
Ashley,
Favorite accent.
Ashley. So
why would you report it to the FBI if he didn't come home?
He's
Because
not
he
wrong.
didn't clear his mind.
He's not.
Lose the word report. I was having conversations
I
with
love
the
Spicy
FBI
him.
a couple of times a day on those few days. What I said to you was, in my conversation with the FBI, either Monday night or Tuesday morning, I mentioned to the FBI that, by the way, Brian didn't come home. As part of that conversation, I was reminded today from the FBI. He said, yes, I remember distinctly because you said to me, would you come home with all those press in front of your house? My contact with the FBI specifically
If I
reminded
can,
me
I want to keep you over the break. I'm losing commercial breaks, and it's a machine I can't stop. But I do want to ask you after the break about the Northport police saying that they lost him, that they just screwed up and they didn't see him leave to the reserve, which ended up with a dead man in the reserve. I want to get your reaction to that. We're back with Stephen P. Bertolino and Brian Enton after the break. All right, Mr. Bertolino, quick question. The police said that they lost your client. There was surveillance on him, and when he went off to the reserve, they didn't even notice the Mustang leaving. Does that mean that Brian Laundrie is dead because the police lost him?
If you close your
Brian Laundrie
eyes,
dead because
says Stan
Brian
Odie,
Laundrie
this is an
didn't
episode of The
come out?
Sopranos.
You know, Ashley, you can't blame the police. You can't blame the FBI. You can't blame the parents. I've had people blaming me for the last couple of weeks, and specifically the last couple of days.
Be the bigger spoon, Vicky. Hey, you have a good day.
Bottom line is, we don't know the manner or cause of death of Brian. We can surmise, but let's take an hypothetical and say that Brian did, take his own life. If that's the case,
Hypothetical.
that's on Brian.
Just took
It's
one.
not on the parents. It's not on the FBI. It's not on the police. It's not on me. And I think we need to wait and find out exactly what happened. The parents don't blame the police. You shouldn't blame the police. And that's just wrong.
Back with Mr. Bertolino, the Laundrie's lawyer. Stephen, there's a critical question here. I have 2 minutes left until the end of the show, but I must get you on the record on this. You told me at the beginning of the show that you spoke with the Laundrie family together on the 12th and the 13th of September. That's Sunday and Monday, and he went for his walk on the Monday. But if you spoke with all three of them together, there is no privilege. And you know that as a lawyer. So what did Brian say about what happened to Gabby Petito on that Sunday and that Monday before he left for the swamp?
Okay, so Ashley, if you heard what I said, I had multiple conversations with the Laundries. I had private conversations with Chris, private conversations with Brian, and I had conversations with Chris and Roberta, and I had conversations with them together. I know these people. Some of parts of the conversations when they were all together had nothing to do with attorney-client privilege. And
when you were together, what did he tell you? Because there's no privilege when you're all together talking. And you did say on this program that you did have conversations both days with them all together as a family meeting. What did they tell you? Because that is the privilege.
I disagree. I think, you can represent multiple clients, as you know. You can get waivers of representation, as you know.
No, you can't. You can't have that conversation in criminal proceedings, and that does mean that the privilege is waived. You can do it in real estate. And gosh, will you come back on Monday? I have 22 seconds.
You get 30's full of shit, Erica? Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
But I have not finished my conversation with you, Mr. Berlino. Would you come back Monday?
I don't think that's possible. Someone else wants me
Yes,
on
it has
Monday.
to be.
I don't know why.
I'm calling you Monday, Mr. Berlino. Thank you for spending the hour with us.
Have a good evening.
He's so cocky, like, at the end, he's like, somebody else wants me Monday. I don't know why. What? Did say he had a group conversation with them on Monday, and he only represents the mom and dad, so that is not a privileged conversation. And he's like, nope, didn't say that. I disagree.
Oh. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did
So
kind of.
he has to answer what they talked about, and he's like, no, I didn't say that.
Yeah. Unless he can prove that he just is kept on retainer by them, and it was in fact a legal call.
Well, no, because Brian was there in the presence of the parent. It's public. There's no privilege.
Oh, that's right. Oh shit.
Right, Jameson? I think Jameson understands what.
Yeah, it would pertain to a crime that was committed, so he kind of has to, right? Wait, no. Wait, I'm Jameson.
No.
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, anything he said between him and the mom and dad is client privilege. But since Brian was present and he wasn't representing Brian, he said that he was only representing the parents. That is not privileged conversation. So she can ask him that, and he's refusing to answer it.
Yeah.
You
I get it. That makes sense. Boy, Banfield's coming at him with that fucking big spoon mommy energy, man. Oh,
She got him good.
man. It's oof. Damn. Okay.
And he has his dates all fucked up.
He really does. He really does have his dates all fucked up. And that's been a consistent thing from the Laundrie camp from the jump, and now we know where that's coming from. It's coming from his fucking ass. He's like, I don't know. It was within a real estate week. It was a fiscal quarter. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? When did it happen? And he's like, I don't know, the Wednesday. They're like, the which Wednesday, bitch? Oh.
Yeah, no, that's not what I said. Okay, you said nobody was concerned that he was running away, yet you called the FBI on Monday to report him missing. Why would you do that if you weren't concerned? He's like, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get real.
Sorry, special guest says on YouTube, today I learned a group of javelinas is called a squadron. You guys have javelinas over on your side of town, dude? That's rough. And adorable. Sounds adorable. It doesn't really change my opinion on what happened. It definitely, I'm still sticking with, like, I don't like him, you know. Oh, Zombie Sex, and that's where he fucked up on the Monday. He says he told the FBI, and they told him, would you come back home with those people outside? On Monday, there was no one. Brian and 10 got there on Wednesday. Word. Yeah, I'll have to check on Discord, yeah. I wonder who's going to roast Baldolino tonight. Us, if you guys want to. I fucking think he should have been my cousin Stevie fucking out there. Also, Game and Fish will fine you for leaving out pumpkins because you are feeding wild javelinas. Are you serious? Whoa, I didn't know that. Watch out. Whoa. I'm behind a couple, like, pretty serious gates, so I don't think I'm okay. Pumpkin time. So other people are pumpkin timing, but, like, in the complex. Yeah. Special guest, not to derail, but I've fallen in love with the rat hogs known as javelinas. They sound adorable. I'm kind of falling in love with them by proxy. I won't lie. Hey, word, Erica. We'll see you in a bit. But no, in summary, my thoughts on that are I think he should have been that way from the jump. I think he should have been out there. Again, they would have called me Bulldog Bertolino. Not real criminal estate. You know, like, he's just not... I don't know, he didn't handle it the way I would, but I get being quiet, and maybe some high profilers said be fucking quiet till the bigger name gets there, if it goes that far. And it didn't go that far. Very possible. Very, very possible. But, you know. The song playing right now, do you use the same open hat from the Pornhub theme song? Let's see who this is. This is Beach Volleyball Club by Sad Toy. So this is, yeah. Again, the song is Sad Volleyball Club. The artist is Sad Toy. That's Toy, T-O-I. All one word. And they are, yeah, real happy to have some of the music from Pretzel that comes on the show. Some of the artists I know, and that's cool. That's always cool. Hopefully throw love their way. Yeah. It took them this long to develop their note. Yeah. And that was my issue was, like, get your days straight. Are you high? Laugh my ass off, says Day Tripper. I know. That's why I had to sit down with a piece of paper and build our own, like, timeline. I'll have to maybe post it on Discord. But again, like, I sourced the info from the timeline basically from y'all's leads. And it's accurate as fuck. It's, like, spooky accurate. And then when we got the new detail today, like, that he sat down with in the 12th and the 13th, it fits into the timeline we built. So I'm proud of y'all. Like, that fucking all information I sourced from you guys. as I was like writing that on air. So like they couldn't build a narrative and we did. We're not even those people. Come on, man. We're not even paid to do it. Come on, man. What are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? Stan Odie, back to Banfield. I can't get over. I put up hashtag Big Spoon, and it's really because I'm inspired by Ashley Banfield today. Shout out all you Big Spoon energy mommies out there, just grabbing your man's like you're a backpack and just letting him know he's safe. You know what? Fucking sick. I'd be in Big Spoon, but fuck it. It's the best. I think that's something that really endears me to Stan Odie. Proud of it. But yeah, it is a weird fucking narrative and a leaky one. It's fucking loose. His energy sometimes in this interview, let me go back a little bit, when he just gets so fucking, he gets so hot toward the end here. Look how red he is. Look, he looks like he's taking a fucking poopies, dude. He's so mad.
Reflected that it was Monday night.
So you were talking to the FBI
Look at him.
on Sunday.
He's so red.
Before he went for the walk. And you were talking to them on Monday.
Little Spoon
before he went
Bros.
for the walk.
What in the Mario font? Little Spoon Bros, and it's me and Stan Odie.
You're bringing multiple.
We're the Little
issues
Spoon
together.
Bros.
I'm trying to get clarity. That's all. Details matter on this one.
They do. On Saturday evening into Sunday morning, at 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night, I got the first phone call regarding this matter. At 1:30 in the morning on Sunday, the first phone call from the FBI.
Ooh.
On this
Stan
matter.
Odie and I should play
At
some
8
Mario
a.m.
or something
on
together.
Sunday was the next
Little
phone
Spoon
call
Bros.
from the FBI on this matter. It was a different agent. It was on the initial introduction, if you will, of this case. On Monday, 2 FBI agents came to my office to introduce themselves and to discuss this case. On Monday evening, and or in my recollection, Tuesday morning, I reported to the FBI in a normal conversation that Brian didn't return. Upon going back and forth with the FBI on the actual conversation in which that was reported, the FBI confirms that it was Monday the 13th, that their records reflect that I told them that Brian didn't.
He's happened to be like, and that's when they said that I said that this was when it happened. And it's like, bitch, so why didn't you just say that from the jump? He's like, because I am going to obfuscate from the fact that I fucked up. I made no-nos. I made big no-nos, and now I'm... If I see a kid looking like that, I'm like, where's the fucking no-no, dude? Where's the poop? Did you poop somewhere in this house? Did you break something? You know. Some of y'all out there act like you might, if you know, you walk in, you see a kid looking like that, you might be like, did you murder your girlfriend? I'm just kidding. But, yeah, it's like, yeah, he fucked up with dates and he's caught so hard. He's like, even from the jump, having to say like, this is when I'm saying the FBI said that I said this to them. And it's like, bitch, just say you fucked it up initially and here's the fucking proper timeline. You misspoke because of the crisis-like environment you were in. Oh. Yeah, Stanley, let's play some Mario. I wrote that shit down. I was so excited about the idea. Oof. One-on-one with the Laundrie's attorney, baby. Let's just push back forward a little bit. I can't get over
Now that I have that, I was just gonna say,
it's their interruptions. It's the way they fucking... She's really good at Big Mama fucking getting my cousin Stevie to fucking calm down. You think, Stan Odie, it's because she's touching on Marissa Tomei vibes from My Cousin Vinny? You're like, this is the lady who can talk down this hothead dude. And she's a hashtag big spoon. Thank you. I think we're on. Yeah.
Clarity. Yep. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there was zero communication with respect to where is Brian between me and the FBI and myself.
It's all just surprising because Josh Taylor said today.
Ooh, real quick from Jameson on YouTube. Yeah, I believe joint attorney-client privilege applied, but I understand those saying the circumstances are different enough per client that attorney-client privilege is voided. Yeah, Laundries have now moved out of their house and they are trying to clear out all of the media and protesters. Whoa, she's being dishonest by pretending joint attorney-client privileges don't exist. Ah, gotcha, Jameson. Where did they go? A safe house? Probably somewhere else. I mean, yeah, I figured they would move too, Tripper. So is that, I wonder if that's, let's see here. Let's see here. What do we got? I assume we're moving the laundry from the front yard. All right. I'm glad they're getting out of there. It's fucking, I mean, here's why they're moving. It's because when you type in fucking Laundries move out, you see like endless footage of their actual house. Like the most doxed human beings on planet Earth. That's fucking nuts. Alright, here's from
The
NBC
search for Brian
News.
Laundrie is over, but the search for answers about his death remain. Tonight, the nature reserve where search teams made the grim discovery now open to the public after being closed for a month.
It's a little tiny little park here in Northport, Florida. Who'd have thought that this kind of frenzy would be generated?
Cameras getting a close look at the scene for the first time, seeing how dense the woods are and how wet the area is.
Laundrie's remains were found in this area deep in the reserve that was recently underwater. Much of the reserve is untamed swamp, home to alligators, snakes, and wild pigs.
While the FBI says dental records confirm Laundrie's identity, more information is needed from his remains, which include a portion of a human skull, to determine exactly how the 23-year-old died. After a medical exam.
So by portion, do you think they mean it's just the top half or just the bottom? Like, I mean, what do they, I mean, it can only break apart into so many parts, right? They're not talking about a plate because they use dental records, so it's obviously something in the mouth. They're somewhere in Florida grieving, according to Bert. Yeah, I believe you. I bet they're somewhere grieving in Florida. Sounds like Orlando, right? They all went to Orlando, I think is what I heard earlier. Yeah.
Examiner was unable to determine cause of death. The Laundrie family attorney tells NBC News the remains were sent to an anthropologist for further evaluation. The anthropologist specializes in analyzing hard tissues such as bones. Forensic pathologist Dr. Priya Banerjee.
It's all part of Biden's stimulus package to go hunt yourself a laundry bone and sell it on eBay. Sunbeam, that's hilarious. That made my day.
Will be a challenge.
I don't envy my colleagues. All the tissues are no longer there. And if there were some sort of trauma, you may not see it. It's like you can't complete a puzzle if you're missing many pieces.
Authorities.
That guy looks, that lady looks like she is not gonna get you your info on time.
Laundrie named a person of interest in her murder.
And she's gonna be angry at you about it.
In a Wyoming national park. At Laundrie's parents' home today, a request for privacy.
Katie Beck joins me now. Katie,
Oh, I'm glad they're saying we're sorry for your loss.
How severe are the conditions there?
Well, Jose, the conditions are quite extreme. And while we know Brian Laundrie was an experienced survivalist, the heat here,
No, he wasn't.
wildlife, as well as the flooding, these would be difficult circumstances for anyone to endure over a long period of time. Jose?
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
So back to the top of the fucking question. We know they brought in a forensic anthropologist to investigate this portion of a skull. How How did he kill himself? How did he die? Was it misadventure? Was it suicide? We know now the timeline when Brian went into a forest of potential deaths. And what, you know. No, he wasn't. Oh, Sunbeam. No, that's hilarious, though. Like, there's a lot more bones out there. Apparently the rest of the skull. So, people are going to find something if they keep looking. I mean, humans are amazing in that way. But, lordy. Since when did an experienced hiker equal a survivalist? Exactly, Jameson. People say he's an experienced survivalist, like there's any fucking credence to that. Like, I don't even think bitch was an Eagle Scout. Like, come on, man. No, he's not. This homeboy ain't Bear Grylls. He can't go survive out there. I swear, if next year I see a Survivor Man, Florida fucking swamplands, I'm gonna be so mad. They're like, Brian didn't have lived out here, and what would it have taken? Like, oh my god. But I don't think so. I just don't see the Brian Laundrie scavenger hunt is about to be so wild. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, especially with them moving out. People are going to be picking that house apart. We do need to get Zimmy's opinion in here. Zimmy, I want to know how you think he died. And I bet you he says Gator got him. Because he's been saying that from the jump. And if it turns out a motherfucking alligator ate him, I think I might owe Zimmy some bones. I think I might owe him some cash. I mean, that's like a solid ass guess. Like that, I mean, who would have thought? All the way in Italy, he's like, nah, bitch, I'll tell you right now how he died. Look at it logically. He got eaten by an alligator. And it's like, ha ha ha. And he's like, nah. Until the last time we talked to him, he was like, I'm telling you, man, gator meat. Would it be disrespectful to be Brian Laundrie for Halloween? It depends on how tough, fast, and it depends on your crew, man. I'd definitely put you on screen just to make the admins have to deal with it. Like, now we found him. He's right here. I remember when he was Gator. Yeah, he was gonna get. Zimmy was like, it's all Gator, baby. It's definitely gonna be. That's how he died. And I bet you he says the same shit. Like, Gator got him, and Zimmy probably busy today. Like a busy Monday all around. We've if someone calls me about it, I'll just say I'm One Punch Man. That's perfect. That's perfect, Stan Odie. You really choose any other bald with a beard dude. I'm sure there's a whole bunch you could choose from. To say no, I'm not him. And then you could just wear one of the shirts that Curvy Vlogs made, the Brian Laundrie shirts. I'm just bald with a beard. I'm not Brian Laundrie. Tripper inexperienced. Yeah, he was an inexperienced survivalist. Is probably how they should have worded that. Remember when Zimmy almost got canceled? All the way in Italy for coming out against Dog at the very beginning. Yeah, dude. People simped for Dog hard, and it led to us doing a whole stream called Is Dog the Bounty Hunter Problematic? And in that stream, we find out that even the people who were defending Dog, like myself, were like, damn, Dog the Bounty Hunter is problematic, and we should probably stop. So... damn. And he was proven right about that. He was. We all as a community got together and decided Zimmy was fucking right. We did. He sure fucking was too. Like, I don't want to really fuck with Dog now. I'm not gonna watch any more of that show. They copyright struck the fuck out of it. Also about the Burt interview. He shouldn't have said it, but I assure you in homicide cases, the days do mix together. I bet. And that's why I think just from the jump he should have said, my shit mixed together, here's what's up. But he kind of like danced in a crazy way verbally, but maybe that's just Bertolino too. Maybe he's just like, I get crazy word times. You know, maybe he just can't give a clear thought sometimes. Which is fine. Happens. You know. Yeah, Sunbeam, he was proven right about that. He really was. I can't get over that, though. How right Zimmy was from the jump. Just sometimes you guys outside perspectives. That's why I love talking to everybody who's viewing American news in particular from an international perspective. Because it's such an interesting perspective on it. And are right about the motive of humans more often than not, which makes me research what governance you live under. And, you know, how it works for you. And who would have thought such a grim topic would lead to something that became exploratory, I think, all around for everybody. I think that's the best we could hope to do with things like that. I'm really proud of everybody for doing that. I'm really happy we have international people. Oh my gosh, special guest, Stan Odie. My friend Shane Ballard went as the Twin Towers in 2001. Do it. That's true. Shane Ballard, yeah, that he's told me that story before. And that's, yeah, man. There's never a two tsunami type of situation. You can always nail that shit. Oh man. Well, guys, we're rounding down into the end of the show. You know, we've hit about 11:20 my time, and you know, we've got the rest of the week planned out. So we're gonna be here same time, same place, every day of this week, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow is True Crime Tuesday. Let's see here. We still have the raffle going. The merch lottery. Shelly B, I believe, is up. Let's see here. Yeah. Hold on. We got a couple names in the raffle. Where'd y'all go, baby? Here we go. Yeah, we got Shelly B. And I think we might have an Abby. Abby, if you're here, say what's up. What a guy says, Tano. Yeah, there's so much shit you're willing to take. Yeah. Want to watch a documentary about him that features Charles Manson? Guys, if you would like to watch with special guest in house sometime, or at least on Discord, the Shane Ballard documentary, Citizen Shane, let me know. I want to do that. We're gonna do it no matter what. We just gotta let me know the time. Everybody, I want to do that. Do it on Swing Ship. We can do it whenever. But I'm hella down. Forensic anthropology. Again, normally when I hear that thrown out, it's like they're talking about a fucking mummy or a really old cold case. But he was in there for probably a month more than. I mean, we know he was gone, what, the 13th? Into the day 13th. Brian Hikes, reported by Brian Enton. And we suspected on our timeline that's when he probably died. The car is ticketed the 14th. We've functionally been together as a crew since then, guys. So goddamn. I'm gonna keep covering this in streams and stuff as we go along. I'm really liking this long form again of this is what we do. This is what I do in the mornings throughout the week. So, did you check out Shadowhunters series? Ooh, on Netflix. Man, I'm not gonna lie, Debbie. I put it on and went to sleep. But you know what I did, Debbie? I got Neverwinter, and I made a Bard, and it's on Xbox One. And I'm gonna DM you my gamer tag so we can get together and play some Neverwinter together. I did that. I'm dying to play a Bard. Boy, was that confusing as shit on Xbox to figure out. But hella worth it, guys. Neverwinter, free to play MMO in the Dungeons and Dragons fucking world. It's the shit. Any new viewers, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, all you guys. The like button is how we get blessed by the algorithm. And, excited to stay on top of shit and see where the next story is. I hope it's not as grim of a story that grips the nation. The next big story. Heck yeah, Debbie. It's Lux's account, so I forget the gamer tag, but we're gonna get together. That's why I did that. All right. Again, the super chat raffle, super chat lottery is still open. We're sitting at I think $8. We got Shelly B and Abby in the running right now. Once we hit $50, we draw a name. All your super chats go to that. Basically, just go back into merch that we give out. And trying to think if we're missing anything, gang. I think we're at the proper end of the show. I'm gonna try to come back here in just a minute with a swing shift. It probably won't be Twitch exclusive. I'll probably also hop on YouTube. Gonna catch some lunch and see where things go. Shout out Zimmy if you're listening, baby. Where you at, Zimmy? And a quick reminder to everybody, Merc Radio is brought to you by BARKBOX and Atlas VPN. We have an exclusive link in the YouTube description below. That link will take you to a dope-ass deal on both BARKBOX and Atlas VPN. Check it out. It's hella worth it. All right. Kick her over to the end screen, gang. You guys have a good afternoon. We'll be back about 12:30 p.m. MDT.
I think it's just determinative for thing that there was evidence there on the body or near the body that points to with certainty that it was Brian Laundrie who manually strangled Gabby Petito to death. Charges don't necessarily get filed. It's more of where they would come forward in an official capacity with a release or a press conference and state, we have an update on the Gabby Petito story or on the Gabby Petito investigation. This is what we have determined, but you're not going to file necessarily charges. The question would then be is whether or not Brian Laundrie confided in anybody, whether or not he told anybody what had happened to his fiancee, Gabby Petito, and then the possibility of charges then falls onto whomever he told and whoever did not come forward, with that information or didn't, or if they weren't cooperative with the ongoing federal investigation. So
okay, yeah.